What is happening, party people? It's Friday. You're in the green room. Pardon me. Should have turned on the old cough button. Hello, Dee Dee. Welcome, Dee Dee Bot.
Hey.
You don't want to be like Captain Pie. Something you intentionally not do. Hello, Tony.
Hey,
Welcome.
Tony.
Welcome to the show.
Hey, Kayla.
Kayla, moderator Kayla. She wields that wrench with an iron wrench. Yes, she holds a wrench with another wrench. And why? I don't know why. Ask her. I thought it was foolish, but she shouted me down at the press club.
I'm so excited for not just like I'm not so excited for the end of the interrogation, but the questions. I am so excited. It's like my favorite part. Because she's such an idiot.
Well, because it's a cherry on top of a sundae that typically isn't there. I mentioned this on Facebook and maybe somewhere else, but very few places do you see somebody bringing notes or handwritten documentation of any kind into an interrogation. So to my mind, it's just Sarah Boone and Leticia Stauch. And woof, like what a league to be in, right?
Yeah, no. I think Leticia is slightly worse
Not
than her.
slightly. Like what Sarah
yeah,
did
she's
was a
super
drunken
worse.
buffoonery compared to like the
Yeah.
horror that Leticia wrought.
Yeah. I don't know all of her.
Oh my God, it's
Stuff.
absolutely heartbreaking. It's one of
But,
those ones that I flirt with the idea of doing, but since it involves a child, I want to not. But Jesus Christ, she makes it hard because she's such a clown.
Yeah, she's a terrible
She's like a
person.
monster when nobody's looking, but like when everybody's trying to like take a good long peep, she is a buffoon.
Yeah.
And then tries to be a murderer again because she tried to escape her prison transport. I think she injured a guard.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, she went from, you can't see much of her. I know what the back of her looks like thanks to the interview.
Yep.
But
Yep.
the only things you see of her, I see mostly, are those greasy haired, like jail footage, like screen caps or
Oh,
her,
yeah. When she talks to
mugshots
the
out there.
judge.
Yeah, and she just looks like a wet rat, like a puffy face. Ugh,
A wet rat.
she's the worst. What, judge took one look at her and he was like,
Cool.
can't wait to deal with this. Ugh. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited about this too because of Sarah's proactive role. Because now the tide is going to shift from being like, hey, now it's two people grilling you to be like, now it's my, like, you can almost feel the energy of her like rolling up her old timey sailor sleeves to get into a dogfight.
Ugh.
I love it, but I mean, you can preface this by just simply saying, somewhere of the list of like, because like number one thing to do is like get a lawyer, but like the last thing on the list is like bring in handwritten documentation of things that you think you need to remember, you have questions about, because, oh, goddamn. I was just watching the interrogation footage of Fidel Lopez today. And Jesus, like, that's one of those ones where, the defense to the police is like, oh, I was drunk and I don't remember. But then, like, when the shit hits the fan and he does remember and there's pictures of stuff that he needs to look at and there's no emotional reaction, I don't know, man. Like, that's a different kind of monster because it's not like with Sarah here. Maybe she did not intend him to die, but wanted him just to, fucking suffer in a suitcase for a night. And she thought he'd come out fine and dandy in the morning. But then being okay with it is the problem.
Right.
Like the whoopsie daisy is like, okay, well, yeah, like in a universe of endless variables, like people are going to die by misadventure. But the thing that will either save you or sentence you will be how you act after the fact. And if you're like, well, we'll get into it because Sarah's got the questions.
Yeah.
The all-important questions we've got to get to. So, that being said, we've been in the green room for quite a while. Let's listen to a commercial, then we'll start the show.
This episode of FFOP Radio is brought to you by the Bathroom Cougar. Does this happen to you?
Someone's in here. Someone's in here.
With the Bathroom Cougar, scare off any would-be embarrassment before it has a chance to happen.
Oh, shit. I gotta get out of here.
The Bathroom Cougar, available at Best Buy and all fine retailers.
You're listening to FFOP Radio.
Reach the
Hey everybody and welcome to the show. My name is Dave. You almost had another repeat of that last week. Woof. Professional AF is how we do it around here. So you heard it in the green room, but if you didn't, it is the final chunk, the last bite of Sarah Boone. There's, I don't even know how to describe this journey we've been on because Sarah has taken us around the same swirling toilet bowl for over, what are we looking at? An hour and 15 minutes real-time footage at this point now. Thank you for the confirmation, Kayla.
The unintentional whirlpool of disaster.
Yeah, so we've been blah, blah, blah. So, but here we are. We're in round 3, and this is our most exciting round, at least to me, because I was thinking about this today, and I was trying to nail it down to a time code, but I don't think there is. The first chunk of this interrogation is okay, Sarah, tell us your story, lie your ass off, because that's what we expect you to do. It's what Federico Gondola did. It's what Larry Nasser did. Everybody does it. Mm-hmm. Except not everybody has the video. Mm-hmm. So we got to have a circle back around of, after evidence is revealed and the story has to change to accommodate the evidence. So that was round 2. And what does Captain Pie say?
Y'all need to do 3 more episodes. I never get tired of hearing Sarah Boone get dragged.
Oh, man. I don't know. I feel like at this point, I love the sound of my own voice, but after I say the same thing so many times, I go here we are again, unintentional.
They had a good day, damn it.
Yeah, I don't want to be the I didn't do it kid, right? But yeah, so now we're entering the third and the most meaty course because we got a lot of, the first course was definitely good because we got to, if you're familiar with the case, you got to see the web of lies she tried to spread over the truth. But if you weren't, you're just along read for the story. If you didn't know, then that revelation of the video must have been shocking. But that was boring because then we had to be the holding pattern of police where we go, because it happens in Fidel Lopez too. It's fucking insane. His interrogation is 3 hours long and this one is 2 hours long because most of it is circling, asking the same questions. And I get why they do it. It's a psychological technique. It's part of the Reed technique to break down the resistance of the suspect or whatever. Because, the principle that says the more you hear something, the more you believe it's true, the more you're asked, that, even if you're staunchly adverse to answering that question, getting asked over and over and over again is psychologically taxing.
Well, yeah, and then you have to think of the same thing that you said already to not make yourself look,
That's what not everybody, that's what a lot of people, good interrogators, because I forget who said that these interrogators suck, and I agree. But good interrogators will point that out. Mm. But anyway, let me get our stuff in here. So where we're at timeline-wise is Sarah is going to get to ask her questions, but there's going to be an interim because our detective Chelsea is going to leave to find the fingernail scraping lady. And we're going to scrub past that. So now we're just going to be the full interaction of, Detective Scott in his red shirt and Sarah trying to fill the space while Detective Chelsea's out of the room. Goddamn cough.
Do you need any more water? No, but when you come back and I ask about this?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter, Sarah.
Yeah,
You're going to jail.
fucking paper
Ooh, here we go.
question.
Here we go.
I
What?
don't understand.
So it
I don't
wasn't...
understand how your story changes so much to the
How
fact
is
that...
it changing? Please help me explain, understand.
You went on about how this was such a playful thing and you guys were laughing, and it probably was for a few minutes, but then it obviously changes. The whole demeanor of this...
Okay, that's kind of a rookie question. Like, you were there for the video too, Detective Scott. So to say like you don't understand how her story changes so much, like it was completely different before the video. I completely understand it. I'm not a detective.
Mm-hmm.
But what he should have said, if we're, the writing is on the wall, the fingernail lady is coming, and the cuffs are going on no matter what. Why not say something along the lines of, why was your story different before the video versus after? Being confused as to why it changed is like, what? You were in the room.
Right.
whole
You had to wait and get the laptop cord with us.
completely changes. It's not the funny, laughing matter. He's not laughing at all.
I didn't think he was being serious.
I thought
You
it was a
absolutely
boy
sound
crying
serious.
wolf.
I
When you're
didn't think
answering
so.
them.
Just,
You don't think your voice, you sounded serious?
it's, okay. I don't know what you want me to tell you.
The
It was
truth.
a great day.
Okay.
It didn't end well.
Obviously.
I was gonna say, that's, I mean,
I can't explain to you how horrific it was
okay.
to find him.
Like, here's the thing. You don't have to explain to somebody how horrific something was because it will tell through the language of emotion. Your actions will betray you if you're telling a lie every time because your body will do the thing that it wants to do, not the thing it wants everybody to think that you're doing. So when Sarah Boone here says, I can't explain to you how horrific and sad, like how horrific it was and sad I am. I'm both traumatized and depressed.
Horrific.
And saying it in a tone that I'm now expressing to you, that kind of smells like that pile of Triceratops shit that Jeff Goldblum finds in Jurassic Park
Horrific.
She didn't sleep.
Because I don't
okay.
remember
for a whole
thinking
night.
Okay.
how horrific. I'm
Horrific.
thinking he's
Horrific.
in the bathroom. I'm thinking he's downstairs in the laptop. I can't find him.
So,
So what's gonna happen? Like,
Here's what gets me though, is you don't remember taking videos, you don't know where he is, you don't remember him being in the suitcase, and you're still telling me that you had your wits about you. How does
said
somebody
that
have their
too.
wits about them when
See that?
did you see the look on her face?
The blurred look on her face.
Just like there was, like,
Like
it can't be more obvious to her that this is completely unintentional. And here's the thing. I get it. Like, you never want to give up the ghost. I realize that, Detective Scott here just wants her to, if nothing else, like as simply as a primal need is like a one human to another to like accept some form of reality, because that's where lolcows fill the niches of society. Is unhappy people will go to find lolcows because they're delusional and disconnected from reality, and you as the sane person want to get them on board with reality, and enough with these delusions. This is this guy's job to do that.
right.
Like, he gets paid day and night to get people on the side of reality and or whatever. But that's just it. There are some people who go 8 hours, like Cheyenne What's-Her-Nuts, who killed her daughter and her dad. I just watched that a whole bunch too. Like, it took them 5 hours to crack her.
Wow.
So 2 hours may feel like nothing, But Jesus Christ, like usually you fill 1 or 2 hours with like rapport building before we start tearing them apart, because that's where you succeed, right? You get them into a stable, albeit false foundation of like, hey, we're buddies and this is all formalities and yada, yada, yada. And 2 hours into it, you know, they're in too deep and don't want a lawyer. So that when you start grilling them, you know, they fry up nice.
Mm.
That's the thing too, but you can clearly tell that I had been drinking some. You can clearly
Schrodinger's drunk.
tell.
I had several people that came up to me in that apartment complex said that you were drunk on a daily basis. And
Oh
you were
my
screaming at
gosh.
him
Right,
regularly.
right.
Really?
Right.
Really?
Talk to the property
Really?
manager.
It's real. I heard the interviews. It's mostly audio, like body cam footage that the video's gone from. But yeah, everybody they talked to was like, yeah, they are fucking constantly just roaming the apartment complex shit-faced.
Nice.
Like, I think maybe she may have said this already, or maybe it'll come up later. It doesn't matter. But like, she talks about how clumsy George is, and like he ate shit like on Lucas's bike out in the parking lot and got like a wicked road rash at some point.
Oh, I think she mentioned that.
It's crazy.
Talk to the property manager.
Okay.
Because it's not,
These are your neighbors, the one that live next to you. Your property manager does not live next to you.
That's true.
They see you every day. How
Oh
many,
my
you had two neighbors you went
gosh.
to and asked to go
See,
use
that
the
is just
restroom, and
not
they said
fair.
no. Hold on. You had two different neighbors that lived directly next to you. You asked to use the restroom, and they told you no and turned you.
See, now we're beyond. See, finally, Scott is giving up the ghost. He's like, now it's time to get in this bitch's face and trash talk her, because there's no reason to bring up the bathroom thing. Like, it's neither here nor there nor in between. Like,
She
there's
opened the
nothing-
door.
Right, but that's the thing. Like, she's been nothing but abusive to them, and so now he's like, okay, whatever. Like, we're beyond like come to reality as far as the case. It's now just come to reality as far as reality is concerned, where no laws are broken. Your neighbors hate you, and she's like, nah, bitch. Like, that's like a no stakes thing.
Yeah.
Like, hating your neighbors and your neighbors hating you is one thing. But being like, no, here's when there's some excuses, but also one of them's a bitch. So it's me, Sarah Boone, Boone's Farm.
What? You had to go
Oh.
across the way to somebody else.
no, okay. Kim and Kim is not a nice person.
Okay.
She's just
Just
Okay.
look at those grandma chicken wing arms. Like, Jesus, right? I had, growing up and up until my probably preteens, I had two great grandmothers, and their arms looked like this.
Yeah.
Like, great grandmothers. My grandmother's mother was alive and used to fucking cheat when we would play Sorry. And those are her arms.
automatically not nice. Even after me and Lucas went over there and introduced ourselves, she's just not a nice person.
Then why would you think she would let you use a restroom?
Because Eli was in there. Eli comes over and talks to us sometimes, which I think pisses Kim off because he comes over and talks to us. The two of them, they're like super standoffish all the time.
Okay, this is just a social faux pas. Like, it's no biggie. But, like, let's say there's someone who's friendly with my wife but not with me. I don't give a crap if she goes out and interacts with them. But, like, if she's going to invite them into our home, especially on an occasion where it's not a social call, but it's like blasted deuce in one of our bathrooms, no, like, no, straight up, no. I don't care. Like, out in public is one thing, but coming into a castle, I don't care what gender or what role you're playing, if you're the partner in this situation who doesn't like the person, you still get final say. 50% of yes, or you can come in, yes or no. 50% no means no totally.
Yeah.
Like, hello, Sarah. But, she was probably drunk and going to have, like Keystone Light diarrhea all over their bowl. And so, like, even if, like, Eli, whatever, if he is her friend, still would no. Still no.
My neighbors down the street, down the way, their toilet was broken. They had stuff in the bathroom.
She sounds angry about how their toilet was broken. Their toilet was broken!
Well,
Detective!
So she couldn't use
So
their
they were
bathroom.
Like, go over there and try over there.
Why not use your own
I would
bathroom?
let somebody go upstairs and use mine.
It's a good question, because that's the thing. What she's about to say is like, because he's just said that there's two bathrooms in every townhouse. Why not let's use this? She's like, oh, I wouldn't let anyone use my personal bathroom. So that means both of her bathrooms were either out of order or she was locked out of her house or some crazy shit.
Yeah.
Because, like, on what planet, chime in the chat, take stock of where you live. And if you were hanging around your neighborhood, complex, whatever, think how many people could you ask to use their bathroom?
If you apparently can't use your two.
Yeah, and regardless of the excuse, whatever, I don't care. We don't know her excuse. It's irrelevant. Let's say whatever. You're locked out. Both toilets exploded because you accidentally took up cherry bomb collecting, and one rolled into a fireplace that then rolled out of and lit another one, which then set up a Rube Goldberg device that ended up in both toilets exploding. It doesn't fucking matter. Is there anyone in your vicinity that you'd feel comfortable asking that to under anything less than dire circumstances? Probably not, right?
Mm-mm.
You know, I'll listen to any all opinions, but it just feels like that does not compute when you throw it into a human computer.
If it was a certain situation, like if Elliot really had to go to the bathroom and we were locked out of the house, or like,
Yeah, like an
the
extreme,
power went
yes.
out, I'd ask the neighbor across the street. But
Yeah,
other than that, no.
But yeah, that's an extreme situation. But we've got two toilets, and P.S. a vehicle and whatever. There's plenty of stuff that can happen. We got a phone. I don't know in what scenario I could find myself bereft of a toilet, unless I was like on a road trip and it was nothing but endless desert in all directions. And even then, it's like, then everywhere's a bathroom.
The desert is your bathroom.
Yeah. Then the world's your oyster.
My personal bathroom, that's what the downstairs one is for.
If it's somebody you like, would you? Or somebody you knew?
They're in the process of doing all this stuff in the kitchen, and there's stuff in the bathroom, and the toilet doesn't work. Just walk across the way, no problem. And of course they let me in.
I wonder who they
Them
are.
and them, they're together. They're families.
She's being gang stalked. That's another hot term in like circles where idiots run. If any trouble comes their way, they're being gang stalked, which is fucking hilarious. You're not being gang stalked.
And nonetheless, if you really want to know, and I hope it doesn't get them in trouble, but he is over here illegally. So he's trying to work on getting his green card.
What does that got to do with you using the restroom?
They didn't want to be
Or
involved.
you murdering George.
No, I was asking last night because, we had several different people.
Somebody have to go to the bathroom?
That
come up saying
Eli
that
and
she
Kim.
was drunk on a regular basis.
Eli and Kim.
That whole I shouldn't be saying this, but he's illegal. Akin to like holding up a piece of cardboard to deflect a bullet, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to get anybody else in trouble here, but did you know? And they go, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Now, what about...
You killed George.
Anyway, back to this. No one wants you to use your bathroom because you're a horrifying monster woman. Your response?
Eli and Kim. Okay.
Okay.
Did you ask Minnie next door?
Those are the ones next door that she asked to use the restroom.
Okay. Eli and Kim. But seriously, like, on what... I need context for that. That's one of the few things I don't know about this case, and it'll probably never come up because, like,
Why?
Yeah, right. Like in unless it comes out like in the court case, I might watch some of that.
We have to watch it. We did 3 episodes of this. We have to watch her court shit.
I mean, it'll be long and boring for most people. I'll probably watch it, and maybe we'll do a breakdown after the fact.
Of like closing statements.
Oh yeah, closing statements or whatever. It doesn't matter. But we'll see how it shakes out. But it's just, and it probably will come up because they're gonna play this footage verbatim in the oh man. So if we were gonna do a live watch party, I would have to take like 2 weeks off of work, as would all of you, because it would probably be like 8 hours in the middle of the day.
It'd be 9 to 5. Monday through Friday for 2 weeks.
This is somebody's job, like to do this, to prosecute and defend Sarah Boone. Like, this is their job, and I'll be at my job making money. Like we can do a live reaction after the fact. But here's the thing about court cases too: if you haven't watched any like raw courtroom footage where it's either anybody from an eyewitness to a forensic examiner to a police to an expert witness or whatever. The first, and it's, oh God, I would call it interrogation, but it's not. What would they call it?
Interview?
No, like when you're
On the
call
stand?
your witness. Yeah, when you're on the stand, the first, depending on your credentials, the first 1 to 15 minutes is explaining who you are and why anyone should give a fuck about you.
Ugh. That's why I'd never want to be on a jury.
I know it's terrible, but you have to get past all of that fluff to get to the meat, because after you get through the 15 minutes of the credentials that the county coroner has, because he's been taking weekend courses and needs to tell you about it here. Once we get past that, that's where all the good stuff is. And that's the problem with, not the problem, it's part of true crime you just have to get used to, is a slow boil.
Mm.
Sarah sort of spoiled us, but most really good interrogations out there have a lot of rapport building that adds very little to the crescendo of what's happening.
And they said no.
No, she said no.
Okay.
And like I said,
Which
she's
means no.
not a nice person.
They're coming. What are your questions?
Yep.
I can help you with.
Who's coming?
Here we go. Buckle up, people.
Yeah, you said that we could.
You said that we could. Scrape your nails, bitch.
And you don't have to allow us to do it, just so you know. So don't think that it's.
I don't have a problem.
Okay.
Problem. Here we go.
So,
Think about some insensitive questions that you would ask, that you would never ask regarding someone who not only you loved, number one, is dead, number two, and arguably you had an intentional hand in, despite your ravings otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
What would those questions not be? Would they be something like this?
am I getting my phone back?
No.
Not today.
What about Lucas's laptop?
No.
Not today.
Not today.
What does that mean?
We're still going through everything.
Oh, that's fine.
You're the one just telling us there's videos that we need to see on it, so we need
That's
to do our
fine.
due diligence that we go through everything.
How important was the question? Whereas, like, she's like, what does that mean? It's like, we gotta fucking look at it. Like, we don't just,
We just got it 4
you
seconds
don't
ago.
wave a magic wand and, like, computer fairy comes in and tells you what's on it. Like, it takes time, bitch. And she goes, oh, okay, stop explaining it, whatever.
It's fine. Oh, but P.S.
Fucking
You're not.
Lucas's
You're not
laptop.
leaving. So
Shit about him. Oh, she don't know that.
See, and that backfires on me now, too.
Oh,
because
damn.
now you all think that I had even more, in quotes, intent to do what I did.
In
there,
quotes.
Which was not intentional.
What's that?
In that.
what's that?
Is that correct?
She's asking about your tag in your hand.
No, but I'm asking if that's correct.
No, I'm not going to
We're not
agree to
making
anything that you're saying. I'm not, that you're.
No, I am not going to agree to anything you're saying. Here's the thing, like, if Sarah were well-versed in human interaction, she would see what's going on here. I call it the temperature of the room. There's a point of no return in most things. Like, if you're the criminal, sometimes they'll use the narrative of things got out of control, but at some point there was a point of no return and you had to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Like the security guard who killed the girl who you thought it was a prostitute or whatever, and like he whatever. He's like, you see my face, you got to kill. It backfired on me.
Yeah, it's like you kill one guy and everyone thinks you're a murderer.
Right? It's like, can't you just give me one mulligan? Ah, shit. I can't remember where I was going with that, but so let's continue. But I feel like you get my point.
So, his probation officer,
Mm-hmm.
do you all inform her, or do I need to call her?
We don't have to inform her, so if you would like to call her, you can. Are you saying because he's still on probation?
No, but because of the nice lady that she is and all that she's done for him, I didn't know how it was.
Legally, we just have to.
Here's the thing. If you're going to, because I realize, and you must too, if you haven't seen these yet, or you will realize this over the course of this video. Sarah is going to engineer a decent amount of questions that are only self-serving, but she will have some that are basically icing over the fact that she wants things out of this, essentially.
Mm.
So that was one where it's like, okay, well, so what was the first question?
The first question?
Yeah, what did she just ask?
Oh, she asked who's gonna tell the probation officer that he's dead.
That was her first question? No, before that.
Oh, her first question was, "Can I get my phone back?"
Oh yeah, so that's the thing.
Look at
she'll
your
go,
laptop.
She'll go self-serving question, altruistic question. So she'll go, oh my God, well, this isn't about me. And then bam. So what is she going to ask next?
To tell his parents, and we don't go telling.
Because she's like, oh, I'm such a good person. He's not even on parole anymore. I need to tell her because she's a good person and I'm a good person. Don't say that like you just got, 100cc injection of like bitcho still from Paxlovid or whatever.
Nice.
We don't.
Fuck.
I didn't even know who his probation officer was.
No one cares, Sarah.
So the same thing for classes. I need to do that too.
Woe is me.
Need to do what?
Substance abuse class and his battery.
Here's the thing, like, since he's not like your kid, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, if he doesn't show up,
Right. It's not. They don't care.
no, they'll, the teacher, whoever, will be like, oh God, great, another one fell off the wagon or whatever, and it's.
It'll be on the news.
It'll be like when you hear things through the grapevine, like when you hear like a distant friend or acquaintance has died or a coworker or whatever, like that always bubbles to the surface of everyone they knew eventually. It's like, who gives a shit? Like when someone passes away, it's like next of kin hardcore, and then everybody else basically just dissolves into oblivion because you want to find the people closest to the person who has just left and, do a circle hug and have a good cry. You don't reach out to like the very edge of that person's social circle to be like, hey, well, what about the dude who like loaned him $5 in 1996?
Who's gonna let the postman know?
Yeah, like, he would usually wave and smile at George. Who's going to tell him? Who's going to break it to that poor man in his short shorts?
What about the Amazon driver? He's got delivery.
The turnover's too fast.
That's just Sarah to ask. So, other than
this meaning, because you can't see behind my face in this TV here, but she is resting her hand on the laptop that contains the dreaded videos and still picture.
That she wouldn't watch because she knows what it is.
That she is minimizing to this.
So initially, what was the cause of death?
And P.S., the cause of death was not in those videos. Like you say, aside from this. Like he was alive in the videos, aside from this. Aside from the suitcase, what do you think killed him?
The lack of air.
What? That's like if you were playing Clue or like you were watching the movie Clue, right? And Colonel Mustard has a knife sticking out of his back in the library. And they go, what do you think that is? Pointing to the knife. Aside from this, what do you think killed him? What is it? How did it happen? But how did he die? What is this thing? Like object permanence is something Sarah lost during all the drinking. She has the mind of a toddler. And since she's hopefully dried out in prison, I hope a lot of that has come back to her. I'm really hoping for an underdog story where she comes out on top. Not on top, obviously, but like in the same vein as like the Steven what's-his-nuts who killed his pedophile celly.
Yep.
Steven something or other. God damn it. He comes up so
Every
often.
time I forget it. Buchanan?
No, that's an actor, I think. But the moral of the story is, you want to see. I shouldn't say you. I want to see somebody come out on the other side and be like, yeah, I, was a terrible person, but now I work for good. It's like when an alcoholic gets on the wagon and joins AA, and you're for them in spirit, right? Because it's annoying to hear them talk about it. I want that for Sarah, because I'll never see her. I want her to get on a wagon of sorts where she goes, I was bad, now I teach at-risk youth, or I teach alcoholics about this, that, or the other thing, and it's all because of blah. I would go, great. That's exactly what I want. Number one, because I'll never have to deal with you. We're not friends, and I won't have to fucking hear about how clarity, regained yourself after all the booze left your system. Steve Buscemi. But she'll be helping people who can possibly not, or rather possibly escape the pitfalls of becoming a one-dimensional person when you find something.
Right.
I would like to have someone go through rehab and not have them be clean as a personality trait for the rest of their lives.
She is still pending because she wants to hold the body for an additional day to see if more of those bruises turn into something bigger. And she's doing some other tests that she's got to do.
It's only been a day.
The bruises, yeah, but the bruises thing is weird. If they turn into something bigger, like, or if there's going to be stippling, so the blood is going to start
Coagulating.
Not only coagulating, but leaching through the body to the lowest part.
Mhm.
So however it affects those bruises, like who knows and whatever. Like a bruise is on the sliding scale of like domestic abuse. Like, I don't even know what you want to call it. Like if there were a Pokemon card and like there was a white trash dude and like a wife beater and like his attacks, like it's like bruise, laceration, broken bone, all the things that people do to each other horrifyingly, even though they claim to love each other. Bruises are like so light. Like it's almost like, because like before that is like the nothingness of like getting a slap or like a grab. Because like, oh, he slapped me right here. They go, well, it is a little red.
Yeah.
Like a bruise is the word, like the definite step into reality where like blood vessels were broken and like this is something. It's not a temporary flash of capillaries filling of a slap. Like it's something broken. Like there was damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like I would say, I don't give a fuck. Like bruises are bruises. Let me see some broken bones. Let's see some like ripped tendons or some other thing that's indicative of massive damage. But like, oh, we're gonna wait and see how these bruises really flare out. Like that just doesn't feel right.
Well,
Garbage Pail Kid. But the Garbage Pail Kids didn't have attacks.
So she's pending it for now.
So, and that couldn't have been because of him being in the suitcase? Or y'all are saying that I physically did it?
That's what she's determining.
she's the professional.
So the ones on the head, I asked her, could that have been from the suitcase, and she said she didn't think so.
But here's the thing. That question is absurd. Because he's got contusions and like, yeah, it's some goose eggs on his head and like bruises and stuff. And to say that that is from the suitcase is such a nebulous, like, what do you mean from the suitcase? If that suitcase was thrown down a flight of stairs, which is a working theory, then yeah, it was from the suitcase, but
From being in the suitcase.
that's half of the coin. It's heads and tails. Suitcase, yes. Stairs also, yes.
Right. The action of being in a suitcase pushed down the stairs.
Yeah. But to say like he has massive head injuries from a suitcase and being inside of it, again, like, I don't know.
Being inside of it, if he was trying to push himself and hitting his head on the corner, if it was hard
Well,
plastic.
no, I just mean like, because we're left without context, so I have to just assume that there's something I'm missing, because otherwise this detective is asking stupid questions. But given the track record of the interrogation we've seen, they don't ask a lot of smart ones.
I didn't touch him, nor did he touch me.
Didn't ask about you.
We don't care if
I'm
he
leaving it
didn't
at
touch you or not.
He's dead.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you all know how to do this, because so that's what I was get ready to ask you. So are you all updating his parents today, or when you get final whatevers?
What does it matter what we tell his parents? What do you mean?
Because
We're gonna talk with them.
Yeah.
okay,
I have.
What's
but
up
it's
with
gonna
that,
come down
Sarah?
to me.
Oh.
What do you mean?
Like, so it's being put on me.
Who said that?
But I'm not. So what is it you would tell them?
This is one of those things where you could point to any number of narcissistic traits and you go, well, they're obviously she's narcissistic in that, you know, what information are you releasing to other people, because that will affect how they see me.
Yeah.
So it's a gross, like need for control, like what is the, like a need for information if there can't be any control, because like
And she also doesn't really know how to ask the question in a way that's like
palatable even. Like it's not even, because there are ways you can find out information if you are good at humaning. But if you're a fucking dunce who spends their time rolling around their apartment complex drunk off their ass, it's a little difficult. And here's another pet peeve that I'll throw out there. Like the term master manipulator is thrown around a lot in true crime. I have not seen a true master manipulator yet. Like there was a case where a kid, I call him a kid, he's probably in his late 20s, but he was just a lazy son of a bitch, and like he killed his future mother-in-law, and like just because he was lazy, and he's constantly labeled as master manipulator. But here's the thing about master manipulators. They're able to manipulate people masterfully.
like everybody.
Literally everybody. Like Catch Me If You Can, the Leonardo DiCaprio movie, was based off a dude who could manipulate people masterfully. Just because some numbnuts stumbles into a family who just coincidentally doesn't know better or is naive enough to believe lies without doing literally any legwork to check it out does not mean you're a master manipulator. Because after the murder, he crumbled immediately to detectives, and literally everyone else in the family was like, yeah, I never really believed a thing he said. I never just wanted to bother bringing it up.
Yeah.
And as a consequence, the mom got shot to death on the floor of their kitchen while he made everybody else meet at an Applebee's.
We're going to give
She's
them
an
an
A+
update, just
student.
like we gave you
Yeah.
an update on the
She excels at everything she does.
Okay, so it's whatever bruise,
Well, here's
scratch,
the thing.
and
Here's the thing.
whatever on the head.
We had to deliver news to them last night that their son was dead.
Seriously.
There's not a whole lot of conversation that goes on after that. It's not a very easy thing
Was
to
it
do.
yesterday or Sunday? Sunday. Today's Tuesday, right?
Did we not meet you yesterday?
This is the problem with being a drunk. Because when you start killing someone, allegedly, to date, on Hello, Allison Marie Armstrong,
Allison.
when you allegedly start killing someone Sunday night and then you come across their body Monday morning, if you're like, inebriated, that might feel weird, and you might come across a situation like this where you go like, hello, this is, and then you'll feel like an idiot because, well, Chelsea will explain it.
We met you yesterday. I'm just asking.
It's a valid question.
Sleep.
That resting bitch face that Sarah gave her. Oh my God.
Well, because like that's the
That
thing.
was a
when
stupid
you're-
question.
When you're an idiot, it's hard to get in front of yourself. And the problem with being an idiot is you don't know if you are or not. Like being self-aware is something that takes time and energy and a conscious effort toward. But if you're delusional and in your mind you're a straight A student and you excel at everything you do and you're just this fucking superhero who physically looks like they've been hitting the crack pipe, even though I don't think that's happened. So now that I say this, I realize like it doesn't matter, because once a narcissist who is living in a land of their own machinations is brought to the light, or you try to give them a come to Jesus moment, and how much more come to Jesus can you get? It like you're in an interrogation room with two detectives and they're both very aggressive towards you. There's no shattering that because it's a defense mechanism to shelter them from the harshness of reality. It doesn't matter how much reality you shove into their furnace. It only fuels the engine that is their delusion.
Yeah.
They're kind of like lol cows. Except, they break the law because you can tell someone who is disconnected from reality the truth or facts or whatever. But if that doesn't align with them and their belief system and they're not open to humanity and self-exploration, it's going to go a lot like this.
Yeah.
And it's infuriating on both sides. And even, all three sides. Because you got Sarah being like, no, reality is mine. The detective saying, no, reality is basically the majority. And then you got all of us going, what? She's crazy. Stop. Put her in jail.
We're going to have to make a drinking game for every time you mention lolcows.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's like, things move through my life like ribbons of fudge through Blue Bunny ice cream. And sometimes it's John Merrick, sometimes it's Legends of the Hidden Temple. So far this year, it's been lolcows. They'll run out and I'll find something else.
It's a valid question.
Really? Yes,
Yeah.
on Monday.
It was yesterday, bitch.
Got it.
Got it. What was that she
So I don't
picked
know if I
up?
ask you guys or
That doesn't matter.
how I find this out other than talking to his parents, which is not going to happen.
Yeah, probably a terrible idea.
Probably a terrible idea. Picking up the phone, calling George's parents, probably a terrible idea. This detective detected something finally.
I cannot stand this female detective. Like, she's probably one of my least favorite. Like, I probably
Here's the
almost
thing.
hate her.
If you go through all of the material related to this case, when they're talking to witnesses, they're so much better.
Mm.
They don't know how to handle suspects.
Which should be almost a little bit more important.
Maybe, maybe not, but since this case was a slam dunk evidence, yeah, you're welcome, Captain Pie. But since this is a slam dunk evidence, and I forget the screen name of the person he's from Scotland, so I'm sorry for forgetting your name, but makes some valid points. I forget where I was going with that.
About the detectives and how terrible they are? Or about...
Yeah, but something deeper than that. What was it? Oh, how they... my point to him was they send in the JV team when it's a lock.
Yeah.
Like, if you've got a tough nut to crack or the evidence is circumstantial, but in your gut of guts as a policeman, this is your guy, you send in a Jim Smith. You send in a, Douglas Adams or whatever, protege, or not Douglas Adams, John Douglas, Mindhunter. You send in somebody of high caliber because you need that nut cracked.
Right.
What for doing Michael Rafferty or Colonel Russell Williams, you send in the big guns. When a lolcow of the crime world wanders into your police station and takes a huge cow plop of evidence into your lab, you're not going to send in Jordan and Pippin.
Send in Douglas Adams. So long. And thanks for all the fish.
Yeah, Douglas Adams. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're not going to send in Jordan and Pippin, right? You're going to send in, Muggsy Bogues and David Robinson, or, Danny Ainge and Kevin Johnson. You're going to be like, hey, it's a layup, bitch. All you got to do is keep the ball in motion. Don't travel. No fouls. Do whatever the fuck you want beyond that, because the evidence is a fucking lock, and it doesn't matter if you're good or not. I don't mean to insult these detectives, because I'm sure... If she wasn't sick and Sarah wasn't Sarah and the evidence wasn't the evidence, it would probably be a completely different interaction.
Yeah, probably.
But by and large, this is typically how the shit goes. They say it in the JV when it's a fucking lock of the week.
How do you guys suggest me finding out about the funeral?
About the funeral!
That's not even something that's been probably talked about between the family. That's not something we ask. We have no way of...
I didn't know, that's why I'm asking.
So...
It'll be up to them to make their arrangements of what they want to do. Like she just told you this quick, just being told last night, I'll pretty much be willing to wager that they have not even considered.
It probably takes like a solid week
My body can't even.
to even
Yeah.
think about a funeral.
And she's about to bring it up. The body is still in the morgue. They're not releasing it.
Right. They were still looking at bruises.
Like, what the fuck? Like, but here's the thing: a master manipulator would have read the situation. Number one, they wouldn't have any of these fucking questions. But if they were going to fish for this information throughout the interrogation, definitely they would do it that way. They wouldn't say, "Well, at the end, I've got this steno pad of questions, and I like. So if I was guilty, how many years would I? Like what the fuck? Don't bring notes to your." Like, it's not a test. This isn't the SATs, Sarah. You may have gotten A's in all your classes. This isn't a class.
You get one note card front and back to use to cheat on your test.
Jesus.
Be released. So I've been there with parents, grandparents, aunt and uncles. So I don't know if I have the right to or not, but like I was gonna call his
Here comes the altruistic.
former employees whom he really cared for and let them know.
You can call whoever you want.
I just don't want to do something that I'm not supposed to.
But you don't have a phone, so.
Like, after the first altruistic question fell flat, even like rats, right? Like lab rats, after a certain amount of shocks from the electrode attached to the food they're not supposed to touch, they'll avoid the food. Not to bring up The Simpsons again, but like, Bart was stupider than a hamster.
Yeah.
And I think that is a byproduct of our intelligence. Because if you're too stupid to rationalize that you're being injured unjustly, you'll keep injuring yourself. A hamster, a rat, a chinchilla, anything lower intelligence-wise than a human will not go back to a situation where they keep receiving punishment, no matter how great the reward, hopefully. Although, people even... But, okay, so people, they will justify these situations, whether it's being shocked at the food pellet or going back to an abusive spouse. We're smart enough to justify our own misery. Whereas any animal lower on the scale than human would go, this is fucked and I'm out.
Yeah, I'll find something else.
Thankfully, we're smart enough to justify our own abuse in a way that we deserve it. And not only do we deserve it, we deserve to dole it out to poor George here in some cases.
How do I go about getting his wedding ring?
Why?
Bad question.
Why would you ever ask that question? Like, so when my grandfather passed away,
You just rip it off his body before the paramedics come.
he was cremated, so they did all the things with whatever you put in his coffin or whatever they burned with him. And whatever didn't burn, obviously they would take out. Like, obviously they didn't take his jewelry off until like funeral was over, immediate family, us were leaving, and we took it all off.
Unless I'm ignorant of this. Usually you're just burned with burnable things. Like, they're not going to
No, I'm saying, so we had the wake and the funeral, immediate family said their final goodbyes, and then like my grandmother and us, we went and took it, like they took his jewelry off and gave it back to us. But like he's been dead 12 hours. Like at this point.
Right.
Like, why be like, hey, can I get that, sweet ass wedding band?
So to a certain swath of humanity, there are things that are very important. Respect is like the base currency that every low, like even superseding money in some cases, respect can be that. But like beyond that, like nickels and dimes are important to people. So like, whereas like you or I or anybody watching may like, and let's be real, how much was Sarah spending on an engagement ring for George? But you and I, let's say we spend the traditional 2-month salary or whatever. How could you possibly give a shit about that within the first 6 months, let alone the first 48 hours.
Or ever.
Like that just reeks of like, I've still got the
Selfishness?
receipt.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like I've got a 90-day grace period, and thank God I killed him on day 81 because I can go back to JCPenney's
Walmart.
and get my $89 back for this onyx ring.
They went to Walmart and got the
Engagement
ring.
ring.
I would like to think
Is that the medical
Sarah went to
examiner's
JCPenney.
office? It'll come to us eventually.
She was
and
like a
then-
It'll be
pennies type.
released to
Oh,
It's
to
a
the
civil
Kim.
matter.
Yeah, okay.
I bought it for him.
Don't give a
That was the
shit.
issue. It was on his finger, it goes to them, they're the ones that are gonna release it, we don't have any say in that.
So I won't get that back.
Oh, the piercing pagoda. Holy shit.
Oh, man.
So I got my first piercing with my grandmother. I was getting a haircut in the mall with my grandma Rita. And she goes, "You want to get your ear pierced?" And I go, "Hell yeah." I was like 12.
That's hilarious because I also got my third earring holes and my cartilage piercing with my grandmother, and my mother was pissed because I did it because it was my grandmother consented that I did it because I was 14 or whatever,
Yeah.
and I had to hide it from my parents for so long.
I was in that sweet spot of ignorance where it just felt like, it doesn't work like this in reality, or it shouldn't, hopefully. But like, since my grandmother was my dad's mom, if she said something was okay, and she was wildly over permissive, all of my grandparents were wildly over permissive, which I hope everybody's are, because that's the way the grandparents should be. But I just felt like, yeah, if my parents throw a fit because my grandmother let me put a gold stud in my left ear at the age of 12, I'd be like, she's your mom.
Right.
Trump card. I was like, I was ready to lay that, and that's the only reason I did it. If it were anybody else, I'd be like, fuck no.
Well, yeah.
I would be dead. But if my grandma Rita said, "Do you want your ear pierced?" And I said, fuck yes.
When I did it, yeah, it was my dad's mom, and we were out shopping at,
What a check to cash,
Yeah.
grandparents.
and it was at dinner time. My parents found it because I was hiding it for so long. I put my hair behind my ears. My mom's like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I went with Nana, and she let me get my ear pierced."
That's like when I got my first tattoo. It's like, guess what? Once you get past a certain age, like, whatever, you can't do shit anymore.
Yeah.
That was a nice lighthearted diversion from this murder investigation.
Mm-hmm.
So for all of this, like, how do I find out what's what and how many, like, what's been found?
Is that her search warrant?
Yeah,
It's
so
gotta be.
that's her search warrant and also a list of all the things they confiscated.
No.
Pillow
So-
with stain,
there you go.
swabs of stain from pillow, suitcase.
That will all
Jizz.
be sent off to
FDLE.
FDLE, Florida Department of Law Enforcement. They do their testing.
So,
Duh.
and then, like, whatever white can with blood and necktie with blood was from the suitcase.
Where else would it be from?
Why would you guys, you'll see it in there, the baseball bat. For Lucas. And the receipts. And this is just his phone, my phone, and then the laptop.
Yeah, when anything can be released, we will release it, but we are very early in this investigation, and
He literally died, arguably less than 24 hours ago, Sarah.
Yeah.
It's not like David Cruz is not going to come in and rip his sunglasses off and then shoot, Gambit playing cards with all the fucking DNA tests on them and then fuck off. It takes time. It's
not an
Florida.
overnight process, unfortunately.
It's Florida.
So, what's next?
They're gonna come and swab your fingers.
No, I'm talking about, like, in the long run. Like, what do I need to, like, do I need to be doing something, or, like...
I can't tell you, like, what to do.
I mean, like, so, like, for... Like, I don't understand, like, I don't know if you guys are just gonna, like... Because it makes it sound like, to me, like, I'm being accused of something that was not intentional.
Here's the thing. There's a wonderful world that you can live in when you realize there are rather things that are explicitly said and there are things that are implicitly said. And explicitly, nothing has been said to raise Sarah's alarms, and that's by design. No matter how irritating we find these questions, they're not like answer or else you're going, or like it doesn't matter because. It's, I don't know. I feel like we're circling the drain again with a lot of this stuff, and I don't want to repeat myself. So
Yeah, but this would set off red flags for me. Like if I were sitting in Sarah's shoes, God forbid, like you died and they're thinking that I did it or something crazy, and she says whatever what did Chelsea say? Like whatever verbiage she used. I can't tell you what to do, or I don't have the answers, or whatever. I'd be like, that's not
right. But here's the thing: like, you don't ask the cops this type of stuff. Like they are paid to be obtuse, so you do have a right to a lawyer and a right to remain silent, and. But these are all formalities, so don't worry about any of them. And yeah, they technically, legally, and all the other good bullshit can't tell you or give you any advice. However, they can lie to you. They can lead you down a path. They could, imply.
Well, yeah, they could have.
things.
She could have said, "Well, after you get your finger scraped, we're gonna arrest you."
Right, and that's a lie of omission. And that's the brilliant thing about police is like Sarah doesn't read the implicit conversation.
Right.
She's only reading the explicit.
Oh,
and
yeah,
since
yeah.
they haven't explicitly said, you're under arrest, we're charging you for murder, and put your hands behind your back, which they will all explicitly say soon, she feels like she's in the clear. But
she won't get her ass up and leave.
Right, because
why
she has
not?
to get her nails scraped, and she agreed to that. But that neither here nor there. But I preach this a lot. It's like context as far as like weight in any situation should be as much as subject.
Mm.
The subject of what is going on needs to be cast in the background or the context of what is going on. So just because nobody said, like, I'm going to shoot you in the head, doesn't mean that all the mobsters around you and you're on your knees in front of a hole aren't going to shoot your ass. It's implied.
I'm being accused of it. And
Mhm.
a handful of
You
other
are.
things that I'm being accused of.
Mhm. Okay.
So I don't want to be at home with Lucas and you guys show up.
Don't worry about that.
So
we're still investigating. I don't know what you want me to tell you.
So is there going to be concrete whatever it is, and then it's like, okay, this is what it is kind of thing, or like...
What a crazy vague statement, right? Like, well, there'll be a thing and they'll say whatever it is.
A concrete whatever it is, and they'll say the thing with the things and whatever it is.
Yeah, eventually there'll be concrete things and they'll tell you whatever it is, Sarah. That's not a
Because
lie.
I've done the whole court thing. I've done the whole attorney
Done
thing.
that.
I've done whatever, so...
I've done the whole attorney thing, P.S.
Well,
Have you, though? She hasn't, like, I don't...
Maybe in one of her DV stuff.
Yeah, she might have had, like, a public defender or whatever.
Yeah.
Who...
Because there was that one time that she was arrested for DV and...
Right, but
and
that
got
was
out, but...
only once, I
Yeah, so, I mean,
think.
probably. I think so. She mentioned at the beginning.
But they're... That's the thing. I don't understand, because usually how these toxic cycles work is they'll drop the charges, not post the bail. So Sarah is a different breed of, she's the aggressive, equally abusive partner, but since she thinks that she's the smart one, that's why she's doing this. So when, like, she's, not a master manipulator, but she's at least smart enough to realize that the system is bent toward, like, females getting the upper hand in domestic abuse shit.
Yeah.
So she has to say, all she has to say is like, hey, police, come on up. Slap her face a little bit. She go, George, slap me. He'll go, whatever. And instead of going and dropping the charges, Sarah's got the gumption to go and post the bail. not drop the charges, but post the bail. So he still has to go through court, still has to go through these classes or batterer intervention classes and all that other stupid shit.
Right. So he has a record, and then it can keep cycling through that.
And so I would say that even though, the majority of domestic violence is from man to women, I would say Sarah had the upper hand in this relationship, at least in the power dynamic.
Oh, yeah.
Because she was able to use that sex-based dichotomy as a currency up until a point. Obviously, she got charged at some point because, once George has welts or whatever.
Well, she did so much for him. How dare you accuse her of the thing she is literally on video doing?
I know, right? How do you spin that shit? This is akin to, not to get political, and this isn't a political thing, but it's akin to President Clinton being like, well, what is your definition of jizz or whatever? What the fuck? We're so far beyond it. It's well, once we get, there's a point of no return in interrogations or the criminal mind. Once they know there's so much evidence against them, or sometimes they'll pull this card early where they'll become philosophers and we start debating the merit and or sometimes even the principle of good and evil.
I'm not admitting anything about being intentional and I killed George.
I am not admitting that it was intentional.
That's not the
Okay.
situation, but it's trying to be pinned on me.
Okay.
That was not my intent. But it's trying to be pinned on me.
It's trying
So
real
however
hard.
or whatever it is I need to do in order for that to be proven, then I need to do so. Which is why
Proven
I'm
that
trying to
it's
get my
being
ducks in a
pinned on
row.
you, or that it was you, or what?
That's the thing. It's hard. No, sorry, it's not hard. It's impossible to prove a negative. So it's impossible. I can't prove I didn't kill JFK. I cannot produce proof to you that I did not do something because there's no evidence because I didn't do it.
Right.
And you can twist this argument and use it however you want because people will say absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence. But that's kind of what our judicial system is built on.
Mm-hmm.
But thank God that's all pie in the sky because we got the videos. Got those videos.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking what the next step is other than me getting my nails swabbed.
Going to jail.
I mean, you want me to tell you how to not be accused of a crime?
Fucking savage. Only because Sarah walked in to that automatic softball pitching machine was Detective Chelsea so able to deftly deliver that orb directly to Sarah's face.
Yeah.
It is simply too bad that Sarah's skull is so thick that it would take a 38 to make any sort of penetration.
Is that what you're asking? I don't know what you
I'm
want.
trying to prepare myself for whatever may
Get a
need to be
lawyer
done,
then,
so I
Sarah.
can-
Right.
I
They can
gotta
tell
take
you
that for
all the
myself.
steps.
I mean, I think you're doing it. You came, you talked.
I just don't want you guys to, again, show up and Lucas is in the house.
Don't worry.
I don't like saying things like again because it doesn't make you feel smart. Having to say things like, well, again, or as I said before, or like I said, it's taxing on me personally, mentally, because it just feels like, we're circling the drain, number one. Number two, I feel like that's common knowledge. We already know that. But
I say that stuff sometimes.
right, and that's the thing. We just have to admit to ourselves that the person we're talking to is not receptive to the information. So you can say, like I said, or as per my last email, or whatever the fucking case may be.
Hey, that's some tactics that corporate uses for work emails.
I know,
Because
but it really doesn't fucking matter because the person ignoring you is ignoring you. Calling attention to that fact may work, it may not, but it's just going to make you look like a bitch.
Sometimes
There's gotta
you gotta be a bitch.
There has to be another way to close that loop. Like, it's a reminder without having it to be a reminder. Or like I said before, as I was saying, or yada, yada, yada. There's got to be a cleverer way to do that. Because at this point, it just feels so
What I do,
obtuse and blunt. It's like...
what I do when I'm reaching out to certain people for work, I say, I'm just circling back around on XYZ. Because
Yeah, say something like that. Like, to make sure we're all on the same page or whatever.
Yeah. Circling back around seems to be a lesser bitchy.
Yeah, it just feels like, well, as I was saying, bitch, but this is the same person who's like, well, can I call his probation officer and tell him he's dead, bitch?
Can I get my wedding ring
Like,
back?
I'm trying to be a good person and tell this bitch that this dickhead I murdered, and you want to be a bitch to me about it? Fuck that. I'm Sarah Boone. Have you ever been to a Circle K and seen that screw top wine? Boone's Farm? I'll be taking my fucking name tag off and fuck you. Visitor no longer. I'm leaving.
Well, we did tell you yesterday that we don't want to do anything around your son, hence why you came to us. So I don't know why you think that's going to change.
That and or me not just show up back home.
I mean, you never know.
I'm sorry, what? That or what?
Me just not show up back home.
Well, that's going to be...
That's what... Oh,
it's a risk
he's so
you're going to have to
happy that
take.
I'm staying over at the house with Brian. Like, so happy. And I'm not going back to the house, to my house, for however long I can stay over here because of whatever to blow over.
Mm-hmm.
But...
And again...
Like the investigation to stop,
like,
you mean?
How fucking terrible, right? Like, for her to be like, yeah, so I moved out of the place... Then I murdered George. So I'm back with my ex-husband, and like...
I wouldn't want to go back to the house.
Well, whatever. I don't care about that. My heart goes out to Lucas. It is bone-shatteringly depressing for her to be like, he has been so happy. Because to a 9-year-old, to have his parents come back together, regardless of the situation, he must have been elated.
Oh, yeah, in the same house? Yeah.
Any split, it's going to affect the kid in a negative way. And so for this to happen, like, yeah, I'm sure Lucas, regardless of the way Sarah is in reality, you're going to see her through mom-tinted glasses. So just imagine, like, whatever, that day, right? She must have spent, like, because keep in mind, it's fucking Tuesday. He died Sunday, turning into Monday. So she spent a grand total, like, what, 4 hours awake at her ex-husband's with Lucas?
Hey, she didn't sleep.
Whatever, I don't believe that. But the one was always like, that's like such a shitty thing to do, because as a human, not even as a father, but like as a human, like that's such a scummy move to be like, oh, my kid, he's so glad that I'm here, and it's all because I murdered somebody.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fucking
terrible
arsenic-laced whipped cream, isn't it?
Yep.
You don't mind me asking. So for whatever it is you all are claiming from the
Insinuating.
videos, which...
Claiming!
Is that what you're going to tell him? Like his parents? It's like, oh yeah, and by the way, she did.
By the way, she did.
But
what a fucking crazy thing to say. Not did it. Not she killed him. By the way, she did.
I'm sure they would just tell... They told the parents already, so that it's under investigation. I'm sure if they were like...
Well, no, the thing that I'm pointing to is the she did means that, like, their conclusions have already been made in her mind.
Yeah.
So all they have to do is, like, walk up and be like, yep, you nailed it. And they go, Jordan, fucking Boone killed my child. Like, as if, like, they're going to, like, count that as a win. Like, Sarah is so petty that they would use this against her as, like, a win.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we knew you were going to kill our son. And where's the proof? It's in our dead son's pudding.
Oh.
Nobody would do that.
No.
Sarah. Ah.
Did what?
I mean, what would you tell him?
I don't think it really matters what we're gonna tell the parents.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's fuel to the fire.
I doubt anyone could come up and be like, hey, your kid's dead. But the person who could have done it says it was unintentional. I go, whew. Let me get back to the sports game I was watching.
Sports game.
Well, we can't hide things, and I don't know, I'm not saying we're gonna go, I'm not saying that we're gonna
Okay, real quick. She's going to bring up something interesting that I think only applies to Florida, but we'll talk about it when we get there.
go and tell them every single thing we have. But again, this is the Orange County Sheriff's Office, that's public record, so eventually, like, this all will come out. So, I'm not, you're making it sound like we're gonna tell them something, so then.
Orange County, Osceola County, all the counties of Florida where all the best interrogation footage comes out of. It is by the grace of God that the people in Florida hold such little regard for the people who
commit
crimes or go against the law in any way that they are willing to just be like, hey, guess what? Like, as soon as your ass leaves the interrogation room, it hits YouTube.
Right.
Like, we've got some interesting stuff from Bullhead City, but everything out of Florida just feels like, hey, you know, it's like as soon as they click the lights out on the interrogation room, like that switch is not only connected to the lights, but directly to a YouTube channel somewhere that like cuts the video recording and starts uploading.
Well, yeah, it's like it's attached to OBS or something, and it just whoop.
Yeah, there's just some nerd in the back of every Florida police station, like with a million monitors and all the OBS for all the interrogation footage to be like, all right, cut, clip, upload.
Yeah.
I love it, though. I wish every state had it.
Your life is in danger, and I don't like that accusation. So let's just nip that in the butt right now.
Well, that's what's going to happen.
In the butt, not the bud.
Seriously. Let me ask you in the chat square. I know nip it in the bud makes sense because you want to nip something before it, germinates and flowers and is able to spread sexually. The bud is unopened. The flower will spread pollen. Crap, what was the other one I was going to say? So nip it in the bud. And there's another one that people misuse all the goddamn time.
Oh, that I don't know.
Shit. If it comes to me, I'll bring it up again. But yeah, it's nip it in the bud, or no, chomping it at the bit versus champing at the bit.
I have never heard of champing. I've only heard of chomping at the bit.
I've heard chomping my entire life up until about 6 years ago when someone said champing and acted as if like it was written in like stone that Moses brought down from some tablets or from some mountain somewhere.
Huh.
So chomping, I don't know. I forgot to Google it.
I cannot choose.
It's like the I could care less or I couldn't care less. You can say either one, but if someone calls you on it, be prepared to make an explanation.
It's
Okay, see, yeah, it is champing.
It's weird, but that's how it is. Nip it.
Nip it in the champing, or champ it in the bud. Champ it in the
Champing? I've only ever heard chomping, because you're chomping at something.
That's one of those things where it's like, a bit is something that goes in a horse's mouth, so you would say chomping is something a mouth does, but it is champing. So I think that, I figured that was probably right because they came to the situation with an air of like, like I know. I've read the Oxford Dictionary or something, so I was like, all right, I'll buy it.
But we can't even, so technically there's no concrete report yet, even. Right. So it's, you want me to like tell you exactly what?
I don't know. I've only heard jerry-rig.
Here's the thing, because you can make a case for both, right? You can make a case for chomping at the bit. Like when I, what was that story I made up last time?
Oh, Jesus.
Moral of the story is I can make up a story for either. If you want to say jury rig or jerry rig, I can bullshit you a fabricated origin story that dates back to before you were born and seems plausible. Because you can jerry rig something, meaning, because Jerry has war connotations, and they were like World War I connotations. So you can say it was jerry-rigged. So you can say they're lesser than us, and to keep their military running, it's jerry-rigged because we're fighting Jerry. And or it can reach back to a personal connection. Maybe you know somebody named Jerry who's a mechanic who likes to cut corners, or you're rigging a jury in the way that most mobsters did. Every person is corruptible for something.
You just blew my mind.
I don't know what I'm gonna tell them. I don't know what I'm gonna tell them. Let's just leave it at that. Just like you don't know why you went upstairs. I don't know what I'm gonna tell them.
Seriously, what do you tell them?
Parents that are dealing with
Can I call you the way that I did last time?
Oh, please.
Yeah, my phone is an
Open line, bitch. P.S. You only get one phone call from here on out. That's implied, not explicit. So he's going to check on the fingernail.
I'm gonna
I
take
get
this
it.
laptop.
Look, I get it.
Get what?
That looks really
Or
bad.
is Jerry rig a specially mounted camera on the Jerry
So that's
Springer
what
show?
scares
That saying predates the Jerry Springer show to most people. You have to, depending on the age, if someone is young, it might work on them. So however you want to, again, it's reading the room. Look at your mark, take in their age, their intelligence, and, dictate the story accordingly. If you're going to lie out your ass like I do constantly when there are zero stakes, it helps to be able to read the room. But it also helps to be an ethical human because you don't want to fucking lie to people for nefarious reasons. Nip it in the butt.
Nip that in
Me.
the butt.
Butt.
like, what do I need to plan on?
1-900
Like, what do I
wet
need to plan
butt.
on?
Ugh.
I promise you, on my son's life, it was not intentional. I promise you, on Lucas's life, it was not intentional.
I don't know you. I can't say I know anything about you. I don't know what would be a true statement, what would not. I mean, you're promising on your son's life, that's fine.
Which is kind of a
That's
bummer,
fine.
right? Because earlier Sarah was like, y'all don't know me, but you're assuming. And like that must have felt like a feather in her Yankee Doodle cap. But to have Detective Chelsea here to be like, yeah, I don't know you. I honestly, I don't know, and I don't give a fuck. That must sting. Seeing how you pulled that card out of your deck a little while ago.
Jill says, I'm late. I promise you it was not intentional.
Not intentional. There was no malicious content towards it.
We had a good day.
It was a good day. Unintentional. Missed a little bit of it. I get it. It looks bad. It looks bad.
That's how much it means.
Sorry.
That's how much it, look, that's how much it means.
And like, here's another. I mean, you can whatever. Go into all the psychology corners of YouTube you want. It feels like classic narcissist behavior. If you have a narcissist in your life and you're not one, and you're not a crazy person, this is classic behavior where she's trying to nail home a point so hard and needs control of the situation so much that she cocks her head to look around Detective Scotty in his fabulous red shirt here to look into Detective Chelsea's eyes to be like, do you believe me? And no, nobody believes you. At this point, like, hello.
Right. We got the damn video.
Like, to offer another metaphor, it feels like someone who was suddenly struck deaf on their way up to the bells in a bell tower and are just ringing and hitting, and they're like, what is wrong? It's like she's not even bad at reading the signs. She seems incapable. The bells are ringing, the detectives.
Children are singing.
She can't hear them.
Yeah.
It's like she's fucking Quasimodo. She cannot hear the bells. If she were touching them, maybe she'd be able to get a read on them, like physically. But at this point, she's watching them ring the carol of her demise, and it's just like, whoa, bells.
Okay. I hope you take that to heart. Please.
No, I leave here and I go home and I forget everything that happened.
Listen, if you don't take it to heart, you're a bad detective. fucking terrible.
Sarah basically turns this interrogation into a yes, you did, no, I didn't, yes, you did argument.
Right, and isn't it wild? Because it's a little deeper than that. It's a little more nuanced, but only slightly. It's not a yes, you did, no, I didn't argument. It's a yes, you did on purpose. And she goes, yes, I did, but not. So it's the monkey chasing the weasel around the mulberry bush, but every couple of laps, they got to stop, reassess, fill out a customer survey, and then they can go about the dance. And thank God for bureaucracy, right? Let's get back into it.
It's documented that you said that, yeah. I get it.
Have a good night, Kayla.
Bye, Kayla.
Do you have any idea when I can get my phone back?
No.
No telling.
What'd you say?
I just said no telling. I mean,
Hey,
our
Decon.
digital forensics unit is...
So Decon. So here's the thing. It's crazy because in some interrogations you watch and who was it? There's another one where they pulled everything off their phone like IRL, IRT during the interrogation and brought them that stuff. And obviously they've gone through her phone because they pulled the deleted videos.
Right.
So again, there's the thing, the writing's on the wall. Like they pulled, those videos were on your phone. And so to just sit back and blindly accept, now again for a second time, to like, we need our due diligence, because the first time they said, we need to keep looking, you go, blah, 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 blah. Why bring it up again, right? Because she's stupid.
No, yeah.
Got a lot of cases on their plate. I mean...
Well, and that's not technically my laptop, it's Lucas's laptop.
Okay.
But he plays, you'll see all the games that he
Motherboard?
has on there.
As soon as we can get that back to Lucas, we will. As soon as we can release your phone, we will. But it doesn't...
You ain't gonna get that back.
Just real quick, as context for like the Lucas of it all, because if you look into this and only watch this interrogation footage, which is fine, you won't realize that, like, because when they when they interview Brian, the ex-husband, like at the scene and beyond, he's like, yeah, she's like, I don't know, between 2 and 5 days a month she's seeing this kid. So to her, she's like, I got to get up and get Lucas ready. I mean, 7, 8 days a week, she's just plastered rolling around the parking lot while George rides his bike off to the Ace Hardware or whatever.
Right, with or without a
We
job.
have no way of being able to tell you because we don't have control over their caseload.
I don't know how it works.
What they do. So I don't know. And at this point, I think, honestly, with everything else that's going on...
Yeah, I think Jill is right. I think once this goes to trial, that's when the rubber will hit the road and Sarah will start to excel at literally everything.
Yeah.
She hasn't yet. But, like, I'm not, I'm a one for the underdog. I want her, when she gets into that court, to systematically demolish the prosecution's argument, despite the hard and fast
Videos.
physical evidence linking her to the crime.
Yeah.
Because everybody loves an underdog story.
That should probably be at the bottom of your list of worries.
Probably.
I'm trying to make Lucas happy so he can have his laptop back.
Lucas. He can't play Minecraft except on his Xbox at his dad's house. And his desktop that he has at his dad's house. And I guess he spends, you know what? My phone. That's the important part. Let's talk about that. Take it easy, Decon. Nice for you to come in.
He has his laptop that he has to do for work, that he doesn't want him using it or breaking or dropping.
I can't think of a better way to trash two people at once.
Yeah. Clumsy
say,
kid
well,
and my ex-husband.
Yeah. So my husband, he doesn't want to share. So he's a bad guy. But on top of that, like, I kind of get why he shouldn't be sharing because my son is a real asshole. Like, what a picture to paint when you're in an interrogation, right? Be like, yeah, my ex-husband, he wouldn't give a cup of water to a man on fire. But if that man on fire were my son, he wouldn't deserve it.
Yep.
Wise man on the mountain. Allah.
It's not a big deal. There's nothing on the laptop anyway.
Except Steam games. He really loves Super Hot. Have you guys played that? Yikes.
So you will keep me posted, like updated.
Yeah, from your jail cell. Mm-hmm. Sure.
We'll speak to you through your public
That's
defender
my
mostly.
thing, is I'm trying to figure out what I need to do in the meantime.
Just sit here.
Like God forbid you listening or watching or ever accused of a crime that you didn't. But if you are, it doesn't matter. Either way, you don't want to act like this. Like this does not. And I get it. Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. With self-preservation, it's by and large an evolutionary trait because we're preserving ourselves from dangerous food, dangerous enemies. But we've, again, because of our intelligence, we become so sophisticated. Danger doesn't present itself as red tooth and claw.
Mm-hmm.
It presents itself as a frumpy detective and a pot-bellied detective, I'll let you pick who is which, who seem pretty innocuous. Like the Brill cream hair, the casual dress. It doesn't feel like a dangerous situation, especially if you are a grade A bitch, because nobody is going to confuse the sight of an apex predator howling for your blood. But humans are going to show up looking like you or me and aren't necessarily, whether this works on both sides of the law. You know, you can say Ted Bundy was this master of charisma, where I think he was ugly and probably stupid, but lucky.
Yes.
Moral of this story is, I forget.
I don't know. I can't. Like, I don't know what to tell you though.
Yeah.
What?
But you all have more information than I do, where it's yeah, you might wanna, or yeah, you might wanna.
What?
Like, we have more information on what?
You might want to get a lawyer. You might want to
wanna.
prepare for life behind bars.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of difference between an interrogation and like a car sale, for instance. I used to be a car salesman. It's the same thing you're trying to do because you're walking a line that's ethereal. Because in this case, Sarah has walked into the dealership a la the Orange County Police Department trying to sell her car. She's trying to sell herself and her story to these detectives saying, hey, it's unintentional. Here's all the information you need that definitely proves that this was a complete freak accident.
Mm-hmm.
When I was selling cars, it was the same thing, but I was the detective and I was trying to get them to commit a crime, essentially. Because they can get up and leave at any point. Nothing was committed to me, the salesman. But the dynamic is the same. Nothing is committed to these detectives. They are trying to finesse a confession like I tried to finesse sales out of people. And the beauty of it is, it's the same tactic. It's in the Tao. You overcome the hard with the soft. And so since they use a feather touch, even though it does feel clunky to you or I or anybody with an IQ over 90, it's a soft touch that kept Sarah there and kept her comfortable.
Yeah.
You couldn't feel your life slipping away because it was coming so slow and so soft. It was like a Build-A-Bear that had its ass torn open and slowly was slowly losing fluff from the front of the door. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Jill says, moral of the story, don't be walking around looking like a Chris Noth cartoon.
Yeah. Oh, God. She's a real disaster. It's a...
Like,
We told you
She
everything
can't-
that we have. You know everything that we know. And most of it we got from,
Did you see that finger?
Hold on, I'm drinking.
And he's absolutely right, because at this point, again, since it's so early, a lot of what they know, they have told her, because a lot of stuff they don't know yet. Like, they don't know at this point in time that he was pushed down the stairs. Like, they have inklings of things, but at this point, it's just like,
He's dead.
you didn't need a Build-A-Bear image? Come on. The good one.
you.
but that, like I was telling her, like, yeah, that's bad. Like,
That being the video that you shot of George in the suitcase right before he asphyxiated.
That's bad.
which I swore in my son's life was unintentional.
There goes the
So
Build-A-Bear.
that's why I'm trying to figure out what I need to do for myself
Okay.
going forward with this. Nonetheless,
It's because here's the thing, the trope of this scenario is, since Sarah has been through the legal system so often with George and with herself, she should be one of your classic jailhouse lawyers, right?
Yeah.
She should be that person who has all the answers, because she's such an overachiever. She should have gotten an A in her dealing with the police class. Like, so she should. There's a great interrogation out there, and I don't remember the dude's name, but he's like the head of a biker gang, and he's being interrogated by the police over this murder, and he is that man I would call a master manipulator. He sits there and fishes the information that he wants out of the police just as easily as the police fish information out of him, sometimes even more so.
Wow.
That's a master manipulator. He left that interrogation with more information than he had at the start and with 0 charges. And a dude was killed at his behest, allegedly. But then you got Sarah Boone, who's like, yeah, it's my dead body. I do what I want. Like, unintentionally, of course.
with his family.
Yeah, right. Good lawyer.
And are you all just showing
Dumbass.
up with Lucas in the house?
I think we've already both told you that we would be mindful of any situations.
God, the awkward time that passes while we wait for the fingernail lady. Where is she? How many
So
other
do you guys-
fingernails
are you
is he
guys gonna call me
scraping?
Tomorrow? Or do we need to come back down here?
I'll chat with you next time.
Whatever. It's my dead body.
I have no idea when I'm gonna call you next.
Isn't
Like, soft answers are both hilarious and infuriating, because when Detective Chelsea here says, I don't know when I'm going to call you next, that is not necessarily a lie of omission. Because even though Chelsea knows that Sarah's going to jail, she doesn't know when she's going to have to contact her next. Brilliant.
the report come out tomorrow?
Our report.
I'm just saying a report is generated through us, and the sheriff's office is a public entity. So if someone were to come request something, then
No, I'm talking about, his autopsy.
she's waiting and doing our follow-up, but
She's looking at him again tomorrow,
yeah.
but she won't be finished with him because she's pending for other stuff.
Which now raises a question, maybe just to me. Because if they are keeping him, I know they typically keep bodies in those big old refrigerators because, you know, that's raw meat that is going to be rotting in the vicinity of your nose. So does that complicate the concept of the development of the bruises? Because, you know, he was dead overnight. If she's asked, you know, and this all could be bullshit too, if they're not actually, if that's a bullshit response. But if they're waiting for something to develop, like I get blood tests, maybe they're looking for drugs or whatever. So maybe I'm barking up a bullshit tree with the bruises. Let me know in the comments if you have a strong feeling on that.
Do you love?
Oi, game of hide and seek gone wrong. Yeah. For real, that it happens so quickly. And the craziest thing about this is, and maybe nobody's called attention to this yet, is it's kind of like, and this is going to be hilarious, but it's like a low, what's the word? Not low energy, but like low interest or low intent version of Chris Watts. Like Chris Watts had to kill 3 people and then get rid of his family, and he was still found out in like less than 24 hours. Like he was in that office taking a polygraph within like 36 hours, right? And same thing with Sarah. It's like, you know, this must have felt to her, since she's an idiot, like, oh yeah, I'll just go in, give my story. I'll be like the lizard-brained equivalent of Chris Watts, except like instead of being like the main trait being like checked out behind the eyes and stupid, like I'll just be a bitch. Because maybe she saw how like being like playing stupid worked for Chris, and she was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just flip the script. Just tell them they're wrong, and hopefully that they'll see my delusion is real. Oh, what's going on in the chat? I can't see it.
I don't know where you left off.
Good question.
I wasn't sure if they had his autopsy done at that point. Whoa, look at the gut on that man.
Seriously, right?
The autopsy wasn't done at this point. They only had video of her taunting him while he was dying at this point. How am I just noticing this? LOL, we got fucking Hamburglar interrogating people.
Right, and that's the thing. So
it's probably the way he's sitting also.
Because there's a lot of facets of true crime. You can watch everything from body cam footage all the way through the trial, basically. And it's an interesting bell curve of bodies. So when it's cops and they're chasing people and it's body cam footage and it's police officers on the beat in uniform, those are the dudes who are like the worker bees or the worker ants. They're there to make sure their body is in physical shape so they can chase people, so they can hand off the people that they are physically able to catch to someone of a higher intellect. And so that's where we change body types to the detective, which is typically, you know, this little thing right here. And we saw a little gut on Chelsea, the detective. And that's just it. You go from, you know, pumping your legs and working those calves, thighs, and glutes to work in the old muscle and the
your noggin.
The noggin, the old skull there. But the problem is, I think that somebody looked at each of these detectives when they were beat cops, said, hey, you're a good, fast runner. You should be a detective. That's what's called the Peter Principle. When you're good at something and you are elevated to a position beyond that no longer caters to your skill, you're fucked. In the day, Scott and Chelsea here may have been the fastest beat cops who may have got the best information out of the most inebriated crackheads and or drunks and or heroin addicts or whatever in their day. But when you're not trying to get someone out of something who's highly intoxicated after barfing your version of the Miranda rights at them, they go, hey, you're such a good runner. Why don't you try thinking? Whoops.
So after this, what? I'm done? For now?
Yeah. Remember those words, people. Where is that fingernail lady? God damn it. You know, Sarah's thinking about it. She's got
How
like
long does
panini
this
on her
stuff take to
name
get
on it.
back? The
Most
FDLE
of that
results?
you won't get back. The swabs and stuff will will stay.
But I'll know about it.
Sure, yeah, you'll know about it.
It'll be in the case that we
Sorry, our dispatch
put in
center
the file that we give to your lawyer.
calling my phone, and I keep having to have other people call them to see what they need.
Ding.
We are now beyond the point. So there are, like in most things, you've got like spectrums and extremes. So we've moved through the entire spectrum here. At the start, infinite interest on Sarah, right? She was infuriating up until the point where that equality was exhausted. Where, okay, now it's just time to hurl accusations, facts, and borderline abuse at Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that doesn't work, it's time to check out.
Oh yeah, she's on her phone checking.
She's on her phone.
Snapchat.
He's on his phone. They're letting the silence reign supreme. Because at this point, they've tried the soft side, they've tried the hard side, and now they're just like, God damn it. Where is this bitch with her fucking paper bag so she can get all the gunk from under Sarah's fingernails? And I'm thinking that too myself.
Yeah.
I hope you all can really both truly understand that that was not my intent.
You can hear her
I'm making a
texting.
lot.
Just can you truly understand that?
I mean,
No more.
but my question has remained the same. What do you expect to happen to somebody when you leave them in a position like that?
Yes, but you have to understand too. I know.
That's not an answer.
No.
Yes, but it's not an answer.
Just what would you expect to happen to somebody when you leave them in a position?
I have no idea because I've never done it before.
Interesting.
Why have you never done it before?
Why would I?
Exactly.
Huh.
Why would I do it before?
Why did you do it now?
Doesn't it feel like a kick in the dick to have legitimate, relevant, hard-hitting, actual questions emerging at 1 hour and 36 minutes into this interview? I realize we can only get to this point by virtue of both parties being exhausted.
Yeah.
But it's fucking cathartic nonetheless. And you want it to happen sooner, but I know why it doesn't. But you still want it to be like, just level with me, human to human. Here is a question. What is the answer? Not a yes, but.
I clearly have said why. Why?
No, you don't know why. You just know that it's not intentional, but you don't know why.
I'm not even going to bother looking up from my phone.
Hell no, she is done.
This addition to the conversation, I will spew out through my noise hole, but my eyes are glued to my Pinterest, bitch.
But that's okay.
It's okay.
Really? I'm not trying to force you to say something that you don't know.
Oh!
Feeding and
Get a Ricola. God damn it.
I part my hair down the middle.
Hey, I do that. Am I a bitch? Oh my God, the agony of...
I cannot.
Like, silence is so useful in interrogations when used right. It is like it's a very specialized tool. It's like a pair of diagonal cutters. We call them dikes back in the day when I was an electrician. You'd have lineman's pliers, you'd have dikes, needle nose, wire cutters, all that other stuff. So like silence can be used like a pair of dikes where you come in and just clip all the talking and let silence reign supreme, and you let the suspect live in that, because silence on the detective's part, especially after a question that is answered but not quite what they want, silence can leave a void that fills the mind of the suspect with the implication that the question isn't answered yet. I got to keep talking. And it's so crazy to be here where nobody cares. on the detective side. They're like, I don't give a fuck. Just be quiet.
Right. They're
When
just
they
totally
could have been
checked out.
using silence to their benefit earlier, they're now using it simply as an excuse not to talk to her.
Well, then they don't even have to be in the room.
Well, they got to keep her somewhat
Sitting?
occupied because the lady with the fingernail clipping bag is coming.
Yeah, but
And fuck, where the fuck is she?
I'm gonna take my phone off my clip again.
Anywho, let's check Facebook.
Oh, I got a new follower on Instagram.
The fact that you guys would assume that I'm that kind of person.
We're not assuming anything. We're going by the facts. It happened.
I'm gonna put this in my bag
You
because
said
that
you don't know
matters.
me.
The thing about Sarah thinks that they are akin to like bothersome office coworkers, right? Where she can go, I can't believe you guys think that. Where it's not like they heard some office scuttlebutt and they go, oh my God, we heard that you blew George in the back of the warehouse and that's a big scandal even though no one cares. It's not like that. Like, this is not a hobby for them. It's not like they're just catty bitches, even though Chelsea might be in like divorced from the job, but this is their job. It's not like they walked around your apartment complex or wherever you worked and like, hey, what do you think about this, bitch? Like, give me your gut feeling with zero information to back that up. Here's the thing that weirds me out about humans is if you're a doctor, most humans will think that they are above like making mistakes or the traits that other humans have, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like cops don't seem to get that. It's like they're constant fuck ups. Like, I don't know. I might be off on this, but it just feels like there's something akin here where it's like two sides of the same coin where one lives off a reputation and one dies off a reputation
Yeah.
or expertise or whatever. Just sort of taking a knee, letting the clock run out. See here. Oh my God. We've got so much longer before they take her fucking fingernail stuff. Well, 2 minutes. I shouldn't say so
What
much
time
longer.
is it, please? 4:46.
But here's the thing. You or I, or anyone who's not suffering from delusions and is aware of that fact, potentially, like this would be a super stressful situation. But Sarah refuses, maybe not refuses, is incapable of assimilating the gravity of the situation. Like, it's one thing to, because I'll grant you this, reality and truth are subjective. However, there are some things that a majority of people agree on, and those things are what we have to pay attention to mostly. I guess I take that back. If you're not going to commit crimes, like, laws don't mean shit. If you're a good person living an ethical existence, looking out for your fellow man and not fucking each other over for this, that, or the other, like, law and order and the criminal justice system probably doesn't mean shit. But Sarah's not in that demographic. She's
No.
been put through the gears, and by all rights, anyone in her situation would be a like board certified jailhouse lawyer.
Yeah.
But she's coming to the situation with experience as if she is a fish, like the Dr. Wernstrom from Futurama when he invented the reverse scuba suit for the fish.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine being a fish not acclimated to that suit. Like you're just a random koi in a pond being thrown and now you can walk around. Like the fucking mind-blowing and that's what Sarah is. She's a babe in the woods. She is so disconnected from like the common parlance of what we all consider reality, even though whatever. It's almost sad because like you'd say ignorance of the law isn't an excuse. But this goes beyond ignorance. It feels like a dedication against building myelin on your own neurons. Which is easy. Oh God, the silence.
I can't believe like she hasn't asked to go to the bathroom. Like, you know, towards the end of this, like she starts trying to pick at her fingernails. Like, why not ask to go to the bathroom?
Well, because she'd be probably escorted at this point. And
they're not going to watch her pee.
They might. Like with a lot of these interrogations, beyond a certain point, even though Sarah is completely dumbfounded by the fact she's going to jail, I think... No, they would still have to be like, okay, well, I've got to watch you because... And they'd throw up some excuse like the time of day or the place or whatever, so that Sarah would be like, oh, okay, yeah, watch me take a tinkle. Cool.
Allison, we've talked about doing the Michelle Martins case.
Michelle Martins?
Martins, whatever you want to call, say your last name. Because she said, I don't know if you guys cover any stories involving kids. I know they can be rough to get through.
Yo, so she's the...
She's the one we were just talking about.
Yeah, I'm not great on names, but she's the one who...
The freezer, right?
Yeah. Long and short of it is she's the freezer lady who, like, her first interrogation... Because if you come across Michelle Martins, your first taste of her is her screaming in court or any of the times where she's completely unhinged. You go, oh my God, this woman, of course she was going to kill her kid. She's insane. No, not her. Okay. Whew. Okay. Sorry, I'm not great with names. I'm good with cases, but if you give me case details, I can figure it out. But yeah, I often confuse them. But yeah, hers is Victoria Martins?
Oh my God, there's so many Martins. Why are there so many Martins?
Sarah's an entitled narcissist who truly believes they cannot prove she... Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about... maybe not great thing. It's the issue with being delusional. Because like I bring up a lot. If you're delusional, most people aren't going to call you on your bullshit. I bring up this dude a lot, but at the last place I worked, we hired a dude who walked in telling everybody he was the pilot of the helicopter that went down that the movie Black Hawk Down was based on. And everybody but me seemed to look past the fact that he was the wrong ethnicity and the wrong age. That's people for you. I'll look into it. So, but that's the thing. I'll look into it. But when it comes to kids and stuff, I know everybody's got their boundaries on stuff. For kids, that's where I draw the line, mostly because it's like most of them are utterly innocent and they're still in that formative years where it could be make or break. But like there are child murderers out there, like children who are murderers, not murderers who murder children. Like what's her name? Bell, Mary Bell. She was a 9-year-old who killed a kid. Like there are some. So those ones I might not mind, but when like child abuse is involved or like anything where the victim wasn't put there by their own malfeasance.
Right.
If you're born into a situation, that I cannot abide by.
Yeah.
But as an adult, the case can be made that you had the opportunity to become self-aware and not be in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? We can all throw our thumbs over our shoulder and say, well, I wasn't taught right. Well, when do you stop that? I don't know.
Live with getting him out and doing what I did is punishment enough.
Obviously. Can't you see how fucking sad I am? Like, George is dead. I'm sad, as you can see. And that is punishment enough. Maybe tenfold.
She hasn't slept.
Like, fucking... That's the thing. I'll bring this up again because it's... We can all understand the person who has intent, right? Or crimes of passion, like a stabbing or a shooting in a heightened moment of adrenaline or a planned murder. We go, okay, I understand the crime of passion and the cover up afterwards, depending on their circumstance, like if they've already been through the criminal justice system, because that's most of these asswipes' defense is like, it was a crime of passion and I got scared, which is by and large no and no. Because if I accidentally kill someone, the first thing I'm doing is calling 911, not looking on Home Depot's website to see if they cover a 65-quart tub that I can throw a body in with some acid.
Right.
Like, I'm never going to be like, I can't believe that happened. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Like, what?
Bleach.
Right. And so, but that's the thing, like when it is a legitimate accident, which by playing devil's advocate, you can make a case for Sarah here, that it was a legitimate accident that started out as a hilarious, albeit completely twisted torture device that she did not believe would end up in death. But that's what makes it worse after the fact. Because if there was an accident, you go, oh my God, and you're ruined for the rest of your life or have some emotional response, that's one thing.
Yeah.
If you're Justin Ross Harris or Sarah Boone and you cry for roughly 14 and a half seconds and then you're sipping a Dr. Pepper or whatever.
Asking for your engagement ring back.
Right. And then like if you, or if like you're Justin Ross Harris and like your wife comes in after you just allegedly and now definitely murdered your son, and for fuck's sake, she goes, or no, you go, I want more kids. The level of disconnect is epic. Let me put it to you like this. There are several ways you can break a bone, right? You can have a hairline fracture or you can have a massive, like, for instance, you can break your foot and there'll be a crack in your metatarsal and you go, oh, that's smart. Woo. Or you can break your foot like I did and like the x-ray looks like the bones are like this. And so now I have a huge lump of bone on my foot because it had to fill in that gap. Like there are degrees. Whatever. I mean, you've heard all these points made before. You know my metaphors. It's just another instance of like, this is far and away from like, whoops.
Jill says Dee Dee Moore interrogations are phenomenal. She was the woman who befriended the lotto winner Abraham Shakespeare and then had him buried under a concrete slab in her backyard.
That is yeah, the Dee Dee Moore one. That case is wild for a bunch of reasons. One, because the dude's name is Shakespeare. Which hits home to me especially because I worked with a black dude back in my days as an electrician whose name was Hamlet. So when this dude pops, his name was Shakespeare, I was like, whoa, another level. But the fact that she came in, I'm not going to call her a master manipulator, but she was deft at her skill. She's kind of like a more competent Pamela Huff, if you know her. Like, what the fuck? Just as a quick aside from Pamela Huff, like her 911 call where she's like, no, a guy, he's trying to get me. Help. help, 911. And the 911 lady's like, what the fuck is going on? And then like 5 gunshots ring out and like, what?
Jeez.
It's a wild world we live in.
And that's why I haven't slept. Because that's all I see. So that right there says something.
Does it?
Sure.
I couldn't sleep for an entire night. Doesn't that say something to you?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Not my intention.
Like, this is Jack hanging onto the edge of that door. Is what's her nuts? And he's like, you know, fucking
I'll never let go.
never let go. And like, what a beautiful sentiment, right? Like, what a I'll never let go. I'll never let you go, and all that shit. But did she or did she not pry his frozen carcass off the edge of that door?
Yeah.
Poetic prose are nice, and being like, I'll never forget you and we'll be in love forever, whatever.
Bye.
But he sank like a stone, didn't he?
Yeah.
R.I.P. Leo, right? Oh, real quick, Jill, if you know this case as well, the Amy Day case where she killed her mother and then buried her in her own backyard under fake flowers.
Wow.
Rings of the concrete slab in the back because her interrogation is crazy too. It's like 6 or 8 hours, and she puts on a masterful performance, ironically, of course. And they go, your mother was buried under fresh soil. Because the guy's, it's obviously Florida, so he's got like, I think he's from Cuba, but the detective, he's like, your mother was buried under fresh soil with fake flowers. Who would kill your mother? Take the body and bury it in the backyard and do them the service of fresh soil and the fake flowers, Amy. Who did this, Amy? He kind of reminds me of a very fat Antonio Banderas. But the thing about Amy too is she goes through 3 separate sets of interrogators.
Wow.
And one reminds me of James Spader. When he comes in, like from the blacklist or whatever, when he comes in, he's like, frankly, Amy, I don't give a fuck. I can check on that shit. I don't care what the phone is like. You're pulling a lot of money out of your mom's account. He's like straight up James Spader out of The Office. Should we skip ahead to after the fingernails? I feel like we're not getting...
My God, we're not getting anything but not her intentions.
Okay, here we go. Oh, mother of God! So, we're skipping ahead a little bit. So, we're at the point where the fingernails has been scraped. And here's a little movie trivia and behind the scenes type stuff for you. But maybe this is common knowledge by now. But when you see a paper bag in a movie or commercial, those paper bags are typically made out of suede. Because paper is noisy as fuck. And you don't want that fucking up the audio of your movie. So what they'll have is suede bags that look just like paper. So when you see Ernest P. Worrell talking about orange juice or milk or whatever, he's pulling vegetables and stuff out of a bag, or it's Will Smith and he's pulling out a cold Dos Equis to drink during iRobot right before he, 20 years in the future, slaps Chris Rock. Not important. I just had to bring that up. Suede. And you're going to find out why, because this bitch has a noisy bag. Let's hear it. This is wearing a mask too. I think this is before COVID. I think this is like 2018. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe 2017.
Maybe she's sick.
She just can't contaminate the nails. Here we go.
One more cough.
Now, okay, so keep in mind, I know we had a bit of a jump in time and that sort of alleviated the stakes, but we're at an hour and 47 minutes in, and Sarah still thinks she is going home.
Dun dun.
Okay, Sarah. So, you're not free to go. Okay.
Huh. What?
Oh, do you promise everything you told us was the truth?
Okay, so real quick. So you saw that they forgot to swear her in, which apparently, beyond the Miranda rights, is something that I've not seen it outside of Florida, although maybe it's just cut out. But they have to, in addition to the Miranda rights, like swear her in that she was giving testimony that was true. So we're about to see a hilarious, farcical, like Scooby-Doo door slamming bit.
Or no? Everything we've talked about today?
Yes. What do you mean?
He asked to swear. Remember how I swore you yesterday on the audio recording? I just forgot, so he raised his hand to remind me to tell you.
Okay.
Do you promise and swear that everything we talked about today has been true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
For which
True and
everything?
accurate to the best of your knowledge.
Fucking everything,
Like
Sarah.
that it wasn't intentional?
Everything you've said today.
The answer was what? That it wasn't intentional?
She shook.
Yeah, right? Like, look at her.
Everything that's come out of your mouth has been true and accurate to the best of
I mean, even in this terrible footage, the skin on her arms has gone mottled.
Yeah.
Like the blood is leaving her face and body and dropping into her gut for the now 5-part fight, flight, flop, freeze, or fawn. Hopefully by 2024, it'll be a 15-part multi-bullet pointed thing that we can all spend a whole episode on.
your knowledge.
To the best of my knowledge.
Correct.
That it was unintentional.
Yes.
Why?
That's how
anytime
you.
we talk
Why?
about it, we want to assure that everything that we've talked about is
True and accurate to the best of that person's knowledge.
It's not a trick question.
To the best of my knowledge?
To the best of your knowledge.
Everything that you've told us today is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge.
Now, I don't know if this would have done anything, but Sarah may have had a golden opportunity because Detective Chelsea tipped her hand a little early by going, okay, Sarah, you're not free to go. But if I were a jailhouse lawyer or maybe just an idiot, I would see this interaction as a possible slipping through the cracks. Because if she is now saying to Sarah, like, we need to know if this is true or not. Like, if Sarah were clever, she'd be like, no.
Right.
None of this that I said today was true. Even this statement right now is a lie. I'm not a lawyer, nor am I going to be entangled in an interrogation, hopefully in my life. But if I were in Sarah's situation, in the exact same spot, this is the time to throw every card on the table.
Yes.
Think, Sarah. Stop and think. Don't cling to, the jungle gym of unintentional.
Yeah, especially
look around the playground. See what's at your disposal.
Like, and Detective Chelsea was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot to do this." That's not good to say that you forgot to do something that, like, if you were thinking.
Whatever, they're JV. They're JV. They still have to get around the fact that they need her to swear and affirm that everything was true.
Right, but I feel like that kind of statement could be like,
and it should have been
defense
lumped
for
in with
mistrial.
the fucking the Miranda's up at the front again.
Right.
Since we're going over this again, I have to ask you questions. Wouldn't it, like, there are some things where you understand, like, some things may be scattered or it doesn't make sense functionally because of this, that, or the other.
Mm-hmm.
This, like, to be a cop, it feels like a flow chart. When you were reading the Miranda rights, it would have felt natural that the next step intuitively would have been like, hey, everything you're about to say is true, right? But again, we get JV. Like these, if you were to metaphorically look at these people, like put on a pair of glasses to be like, what do these people actually look like? Like they're both skinny, bucktooth braces, like ill-fitting basketball uniform, greasy, pockmarked face kids who are trying their fucking hardest, but are the type of kids who are going to fill the JV until they, God willing, make it to college.
Yes, but it was not intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, do me a favor, stand up.
I love that. Stand up.
Turn around, face the wall. Put your hands behind your back. Do you have anything in your pockets that I should know about?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Why is this happening?
What a weird question.
Because George is dead.
Not intentionally.
We understand that.
He's still
Yeah,
dead.
the type of kids who don't excel at everything.
Someone needs to call Brian, please.
Okay.
Or can I not make the phone call?
You'll be able to make a phone call.
At the jail.
Down to the jail.
Mhm.
So
You'll
why
be
is this
afforded.
happening? So this was a trick.
No, it's not
No,
a trick.
not
How's
a
it a
trick.
trick? I brought you in here to ask you to explain a few things to us, and
And you did.
Right.
your response to everything was basically, I didn't do it.
So, not, this is annoying, and you're just going to have to accept it. But there's a principle, again, I'm going to talk about the Tao Te Ching. There's a principle that works in literally every fucking circumstance, basically. It's the principle of acting like water. When you act in a manner that puts you beneath anyone you interact with, it gives you a leg up in a way. Because the person who cares the least in any situation has the most amount of power, because you're not strangling the situation for control. And those who are going to try and bend over backwards to get you invested. The opposite is true. You can convince yourself that if you elevate yourself above the person you killed, above their family, and above the detectives you're actively talking to, you can skate. Because you'll prove that you are above them and ergo should be let go because of your situation via status or money or whatever. Never fucking works unless you are like a Murda or a whatever. You've got the money, and eventually even those towers crumble. Whether it's getting out of a speeding ticket or a possibly unintentional suitcase murder. You walk in there licking boots and eating gravel and repentant to the hills and back, probably would have worked. Because you're dealing with humans. It's not like you were thrown into a Law and Order computer where every piece of information was put in and you go, okay. But if we go, okay, we're correlating these facts. Bad relationship, booze, domestic violence in the past, all these factors. And they go, okay, that's making the case. The linchpin that will hold the wheel on the axle of your life will be how you act.
Mm-hmm.
If you ball your ass off and are a legitimate human who this was a mistake and it literally shook you to the core of what you are as a living individual organism, by and large, the police will go, Jesus Christ, like, this was fucked. I've seen a country mile of people getting interrogated by police that was a legitimate accident. And all anyone can do is sit back and go, Jesus Christ. But if for a second you go, well, it was their fault.
Mm-hmm.
And you try to lift your fucking little toe, done. Be like water. Stay low. Be humble. Take your lumps. Say it was your fault. If you're a human, this is what you'll do. I don't have to tell you. This is what you'll do. If you're a monster or a maniac or a narcissist or in any way think that human life that is not yours is less than, and you go, well, at least it wasn't me. You just talked yourself into, at best, second-degree murder.
Right.
At worst, they go, well, you put the suitcase down there, so we pretty much knew what was happening, and you're a bitch.
Intentionally.
Doesn't matter. It's still there. Do me a favor. Have a seat.
Really, guys?
Really, guys?
Really.
Like, this isn't like...
We had a good 2 hours, guys.
Right. This isn't like a trio of friends go to an In-N-Out and like one goes to the bathroom to come back to take a bite out of their burger to find like an intact salt packet that they bit through, and like they pulled the bun off and they go, really, you guys? Like that's an appropriate situation. Like, what? Oh man, there's a receipt in my hamburger. Really, you guys? Like, George's body is on ice. And then to look at this face and go like, really, you guys? You're going to do this to me, Sarah Boone, Boone's Farm heir?
So if I didn't show up,
They still would have come got you eventually. Like,
why is
You're
this
trying-
happening?
Because
Before y'all said I could leave,
when
that I was done after that.
we were done, yes, we were done.
they did. I remember when I said that earlier. They did say that. It's true. That they never said that. Or did they? In the beginning, they say.
They said you're free to go at any time. You came down here willingly.
Well, no, I don't think they said that she was free to go. Unless my memory is bad. I think they said that thanks for coming down here willingly, and since you are, we still have to go through the blah, blah, blah.
Maybe. That was 3 weeks ago that we watched.
Yeah, that's the thing. My gut says they never told her she was free to go, but they thanked her for being here voluntarily.
Willingly, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming down here on your own volition.
Mother of God.
Ugh. Pause it on that.
We've got so many. Whatever. Maybe it's time of day, too. That they get you.
Probably.
It is.
We are done.
Right.
It's legit. Right.
Not intentional.
Okay.
So we got 12 more times.
Look, if she could, she would be shooting laser beams. Pew, right through his head. Unintentional. Pew, and he'd fall to the ground like a sack of silk-clad potatoes.
So what am I supposed to do now?
Go to jail.
You're gonna get
You
processed.
Someone needs to call Brian.
Okay.
Lucas is waiting for Mom to come home.
Legitimately, like.
It's not your home to go to. So.
Yeah, number one, like, Brian doesn't give a fuck. Like, listen to his interview with the police and tell me he'll give a fuck. You know, I'm sure Lucas will be sad that his mom's not coming home because that must have been a blissful few hours to see his parents reunited. But Jesus Christ, Sarah, like, call Brian. Lucas is expecting mommy home. Like, yeah, there's a dude on a slab in the morgue.
This was not my intention. I thought I was waiting for you all to come and figure out what's what and how many.
Yeah, my intention wasn't to come and get arrested. My intention, again, you guys are totally fucked. Number one, my intention was not to kill, and my intention was not to get arrested.
Yeah.
Seems like you fucked up on both of those, police. I'm going to talk to IAB about this.
That's what we're trying to do.
And I was going to be able to go home
No.
and see Lucas.
That's
Now
not-
he's just not going to have me come home.
No.
I mean, you
You're
saw
So
him
there's
last
nothing
night.
that I can do.
No.
All right, no.
There's nothing that I can do in order to go home and see Lucas and prepare.
Not right now, no.
Prepare, like,
You'll be
leave?
afforded a time in court. You'll be afforded an attorney. You'll be afforded a chance.
It is interesting, though. It's not. I mean, it's a quality not only for the delusional. Like, it's not just Sarah here, even though she obviously has no political or organic power in this situation. She goes, "Oh, there's nothing I can do." Blah, blah. When, you know, she didn't even have any money to back anything up.
Right.
Like Alex Murdaugh or a bunch of like Epstein or whatever, like they get in a situation like, "There's nothing I can do." I go, like in a world where, because like her currency has been just bullshit and other people's indifference. And that can cash a lot of checks as long as you're a low rent, white trash bitch who's drunk every day living in like, beat down apartments.
Yeah.
Like an Epstein or whoever has money to cash the checks that his ass writes. So, it's like when I was in 6th grade, we had a currency called Whiz Kid tickets. And if you're a good student or did good things, you could accumulate these Whiz Kid tickets that you could put into a bank of sorts, and we all had little fake checkbooks.
Oh.
Now, in context, yeah, I was Sarah in that situation. I had a bullshit checkbook that I could write bullshit checks to other kids in my bullshit economy. But if I stepped into the real world and like, hey, I've got 176 Whiz Kid tickets and I want a Snickers, how can we make this happen, old lady at the Walgreens?
Yeah, right.
Can't.
Right, Joe. There's nothing I can do to go home and pack all of my belongings and try and completely avoid facing my consequences.
Yeah, I can't like throw bleach on anything, but like by then it's like,
Can't flee to Mexico.
Where are you going to go, Sarah? And what are you going to do? Like, what can you possibly do to prepare? Aside from calling a lawyer and being like,
help,
I'm a murderer. Like, what else is there? What are you going to say to Brian? What are you going to say to Lucas?
Right.
What could be done?
To talk to a judge, and all that stuff will be worked out.
But what's the time frame for that, though?
I have no way of being able to tell you. You should make first appearance probably by tomorrow morning, if not tonight, depending how things are busy, how quickly you get down there. I don't work in
It's July? Damn.
Yeah.
And I need
yeah.
water like
I thought it was
really badly.
June.
Have a seat. What is she gonna? What was she gonna do as opposed to when she wasn't handcuffed?
They just don't want her standing up, like it's protocol. But like that's the running, maybe not gag, but it's a running theme in Sarah's life. Is whenever she's stressed, she needs
Movement.
her liquid.
Mm.
Like it starts from the jump. Like when the body cam footage picks up after the 911 call, she is juiced up for her Dr. Pepper. Like George is dead. She just heard his death gurgle after allegedly giving him CPR. And all she can think about is those 23 delicious flavors locked inside that Dr. Pepper just beyond her reach, which is now a crime scene for murder.
Mm.
It's a bummer. She's so thirsty.
You all tricked me down here.
Wasn't a trick. A trick is like when they send out sweepstakes letters to people with active warrants to be like, you want a boat. And when you walk into the Holiday Inn, you see the table, you sign your name, and it's not a boat in the room. It's a bunch of police officers who roughly handle you into a meat wagon.
Uh-huh.
That's a trick.
I just got those.
My cigarettes.
They are not allowed.
It is endlessly hilarious to me, the relationship between white trash people and their cigarettes. Like
They're expensive.
it reaches everywhere to the like the largest platitude of pop culture. Like Jeff Foxworthy has that joke about, I think even Decon brought it up, where it's like, oh, I touched my cigarettes. If you are a smoker and you make less than $25,000 a year, those things are like the fucking holy grail. Because it like, God knows what they were back then, but they're probably like $10, $12 a pop. Like that is a king's ransom to these people.
Back in 2006.
Depending on where you live also.
Right. In Connecticut in 2006, 2007, my boyfriend at the time, it was $11.50 or something for his pack of cigarettes. And he wasn't really working. And when he dropped one on the ground.
Right. So when you're a scumbag and your major currency is respect, but right behind that is actual money, like $11 or $12 is like, that's big time.
But that's a day. Like
Right.
he would smoke a pack a day. So
and that's what's so sad is like the type of people like Sarah Boone or whoever who see like, I just bought that. So like those whatever. I don't know how many cigarettes are in her pack, but umpteen minus the 3 she smoked. Like, yeah, I can. It's like when I was a kid and like every cent counted when the ice cream man showed up.
Yeah.
But to literally everybody else, it was like, who gives a fuck? That shit is old. The SpongeBob is not going to look like that. Get over it.
In the jail.
So I can't even smoke cigarettes if I go.
No. Which is crazy because, like, Fidel Lopez, they let him smoke like fucking 8 cigarettes during his interrogation.
And what am I supposed to do with my car?
They probably didn't know she smoked.
Find where it is.
Oh, they totally know.
Get down there, you'll have free phones, you'll be able to call.
What, as soon as possible?
Yeah, once you get down in there, get booked in, you'll be able to use a phone in the waiting
But
area.
how long will that take? Because I need to talk to Brian.
For
It
what?
depends how
Like,
busy, how quickly they get you through. I probably would say within the hour. It's a free phone
Yes?
call
Yeah.
in the lobby. It's a free
All
phone
I'm
call.
doing is bring you
phone?
there, sign
Yep.
this paper.
complimentary continental breakfast for all you scumbags who are going to be in the holding cell. So, you know.
Hope you have his phone number memorized because you're not going to have your cell phone to look. So.
Yes, you're totally fucked on that. But in the morning, you'll get a complimentary blueberry muffin and half a bowl of cornflakes.
She has no clue.
So can I ask you, or whoever it is, those holding cells, the holding cells, am I going to be put in one of those?
I don't know.
Last time I had a panic attack.
Let them know that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, you're familiar with the big bay. As long as you go in and you act civil to them, they'll set you in the big bay. And you'll be left there for
Can
a
you
while.
request that while I'm there?
No, that's
Again, he knows that she's familiar. She's referencing a time when she was obviously booked and was an unholy bitch, and that's why she probably got put in a holding cell by herself, which I would want.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be with a whole bunch of rando people.
Like, yeah, like God forbid I'm hauled into a police station at any hour of the day or night. I would love to be thrown in a cell by myself instead of a huge, like, you know,
Bay of potential murderers.
yeah,
and-
aquarium of human disaster, right?
yeah.
Or I don't know, maybe it's different there. Maybe in the holding cell she was with a really annoying roommate. I don't know.
It's not up to us. We don't work at the jail.
As long as like he's saying, is if you don't
If you
act
go
up.
in and act like this, you'll go in and they'll put you in the big bay. If you go in there screaming and kicking and yelling and
Why would
cursing
I
at
do
people,
that?
I don't know.
Right.
Well,
So
yeah.
which leads you to like it is another. You know, I'm really picky about this shit, but explicit versus implicit. She's saying explicitly, why would I do that? And he's going explicitly, I don't know, but implicitly feels like she did that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why you do that.
She was probably belligerently drunk when she got
Because
put in a
he's
holding
laying out the facts that, like, if you're calm, they'll put you where you're supposed to go because law enforcement's a flowchart. If you're a bitch, you end up somewhere else. So the fact that you ended up somewhere else last time, I mean, it's not paint by numbers, but it's close.
I'm just letting you know that's what happens. That's how they weed people out. If you go in acting like this,
So I ask for the big bay?
they'll put you there as long as you're acting like this.
Yeah, because the last
Oh my God. I cannot believe it. Every 3.5 seconds, I feel like, well, whatever. Moral of the story is, let's get
time I
back
had
at
a
it.
major panic attack on the little things.
Let them know.
Change the cups.
Good, stand up.
I have not
So
found
what am I
it.
going to do with my purse? Oh, sorry.
Your purse is gonna come, but the cigarettes and stuff can't, so.
That's contraband, bitch. Like, so I just watched a documentary on, I mean, there's a million of them out there, but it was about, it felt all over the place, literally. And that's why I can't remember the name of it, but it was supposedly about like assault behind prison, or like it claimed to be a documentary about the situation between upper prisoners and lower prisoners and how boy prisoners are like prison wives.
Mm-hmm.
It was about that dichotomy, but that was like literally less than a quarter of the whole show. Like most of it was about the insanely intricate economy of prison, which revolves around nothing but junk food.
Oh, yeah.
Cigarettes, coffee, like little hostess, like little Debbie cakes or hostess cakes, all that shit. Like that's currency and respect, obviously. But respect isn't going to get you. Like you can't loan respect because that's the economy. It's like you would, the way these dudes would ingratiate these boys into their clique is like you lend people stuff, but then they owe you so much that they, it's loan sharking. We all know it.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. And it's brilliant because no matter how big or small the economy, no matter what currency you put in, it's the same. It's predatory people dealing in a currency that isn't material. Whether you're loaning someone 50 grand, for a backroom game of poker, or you're betting on sports and they're going to break your legs or kill you because that's a lot of money. The stakes are exactly the same for 10 sticky buns.
Yeah.
Like there was a guy talking about, he's like, yeah, you become indebted to someone for life for 10 soup mixes. Because after a week, if you can't pay it back, it's 20, and then it's 30, and then it's 40, and then you're in debt. And this guy was saying, like, if you get out of jail, regain society, if you end up back in jail in the same situation near the people you owe the money to, or soup, in this case, the canned soup, you're right back where you were. You have zero leverage. You have zero status gained. And a matter of fact, you probably owe more.
Shit, if I was in jail and I owed some bro 10 soup mixes and I got out of jail, I'd be mailing that stuff.
Well, no, that's the thing. Is like that. You're talking as a person with common sense
Right.
who wouldn't be in jail bartering for their life with
Yeah.
cigarettes.
Yeah.
But that's just it. It doesn't matter the economy. Whether you're making billions of dollars of like El Mencho or El Chapo in these cartels, and you're moving billions of dollars of product a year, or you're a single dude with a garbage bag full of Fritos.
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking matter. It's just one seems to be a little flashier because you get Lamborghinis on the one, and the other one you're drinking toilet wine.
Mm-hmm.
Good night, Allison. Thanks for showing up. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
What made you all decide to do this?
Oh my
Made
god.
us decide to do this?
Huh.
George is dead.
You guys, I knew this was gonna happen.
You did?
Then why'd you show up,
Well,
bro?
we gave-
Willingly.
Yes, absolutely. We were trying to figure out what's going on. We're still trying to figure out what's going on.
Unintentionally.
Intentional or not, George is dead.
Huh? Like, what do you think she's thinking
when you
right
say
there?
unintentionally,
Don't you think
that's
I know
all
that?
people-
Is what
Well, George is dead. Huh?
What?
Like, the head snapped, being like, I need a sassy comment. But when the brain caught up to be like, oh, fuck. You did kill George. There is no
Flatline.
There's no yo mama comeback for like, you're a murderer.
Right.
Everything.
I need to get, I have I don't know if it's
It needs
able to be or
it needs
not.
your oil then. I apologize.
I have things in my car that I need to.
Like what?
What kind of stuff do you have in your car that you're worried about?
Well, I have my medication.
Okay, they have a pharmacy there, so if there's something that you have to have right away, you'll be seeing a
It's
nurse.
panic attack stuff.
Well, again, when you get checked in, you're gonna be seeing a nurse,
Turn around now.
and that, they have a pharmacy there, so they'll be able to take care of any kind of that stuff. That protocol is out of my realm. I don't work down there, so I don't know, but I do know they do have a pharmacy. And they,
That's the beauty and also the frustration of like a compartmentalized bureaucracy is like, it's nice because you do get to be like, I don't know, that is literally 10 feet that way. And as such, when you cross that line of paint on the floor, I don't know shit.
I'm out. Their SOPs are different.
Yeah, like, that's the thing. Like, you should know that. It's like, Sarah, duh, you should know that. But I don't know, it's kind of frustrating because, like, let's say, God forbid, you're someone getting ground through the gears of the criminal justice system who is completely innocent of anything, which happens all the fucking time. Like, and you're desperate to prove that or get to someone who can help you prove that. It's annoying for them to be like, you know what? I don't know, like, you'll find a guy who's completely ignorant of the situation. What you're going to have to do is explain it all to him, hope he gives a shit, which he won't, spoiler alert, and then bank on the fact that he'll have some power, which again, spoiler alert, he won't. He's just going to usher you through the 30 feet of his domain over the next line of paint into somebody else's fucking bee's nest.
You will be afforded to see somebody. Okay?
All done?
Yes, ma'am. Let's say no.
And we'll call it at that because he's right. They're done. She has gone off to jail, has been there since this footage. You've seen the updates. July is when the case is hopefully going to pop. And, if it's not a long one, like, maybe we'll cover it. Because if it's like 2 or 3 days, that's fine. Because I can watch it all and find all the chunks that I think are worth watching, because that's no big deal. But if it's going to be like 9, 10, 11, but this is such a slam dunk. It's like,
There's no way.
Will the Washington's Generals beat the Globetrotters? No, of course not. I think that's what I'm going to try and do in the future too, because there are so many good interrogations out there that are like Sarah, that are either 2 hours plus, that not all needs to be gone over. Like when we go over the Fidel Castro or whoever next that's huge, I'm going to take a huge bite out of the middle of it. Because again, like you and I, if you're into this, you don't need the rapport and you don't necessarily need the circling of the drain.
Yeah.
But Sarah made hers irresistible because she had questions. So we had to do that.
We had to know the questions.
Yeah. Who's going to be an expert witness and to what, right? Like, defense calls a guy who works at a suitcase factory. Like,
he could have gotten out.
Right.
If it wasn't broken.
We can only hope if it goes long, we can only hope it'll be as hilarious as like the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, where a bunch of just morons show up and like give their 2 cents even though they're unqualified. Because hey, $10,000 is $10,000 to stand up in front of someone and look like an idiot. I wouldn't cash in my credibility that low. But, yeah, that's the thing. I can see the defense a mile away, right? Because it's going to be spousal abuse and all this other stuff. And it was a toxic environment, which has worked in the past. I think recently, gosh, what was the case? She shot her husband, like her interrogation, like they pull her in a bikini and they put her in one of those Tyvek suits and she admits to shooting him, but in the end she got off because he was apparently abusive enough to warrant
self-defense.
And so everything was dropped. But there wasn't a video of her shooting from behind the camera, and the dude wasn't in a suitcase. So,
yeah.
Oh, yeah, her dad was there. That was the crazy thing, because she was like, I had to protect my dad. That whole story does seem weird, but whatever. I'm not of any power, and they let her off with a warning, essentially. But it's kind of like there's a guy out there, Brinkman, George Brinkman, I think. Maybe not Brinkman. George something or other. Anyway, he's like one of these guys who like Basil, what's his nuts in Canada, where like runs around and kills 3 women in cold blood, and the whole interrogation is like, I'm such a sad guy and everybody's so mean to me. Basil's another one. Like, he's another 6-hour interrogation that's worth it if you if you want to throw the time at it, I enjoy it because it's another one of those low energy Canadian interrogators that comes off kind of like Jim Smith, where he's like, come on, Basil. He's like, what's up with that? 3 women are dead, and I want to see if you want to hammer her or whatever.
What up with that?
Oh, yeah, there are many out there. One day, maybe we'll look into the, oh, God damn it, I can't remember her name now. She's absolutely insane. Courtney something, maybe? Whatever, it doesn't matter. We've got so much true crime stuff to cover. Yeah. Jill, you're right. Here's where I would rank my interrogations. Top tier, Canadian. Mid tier, American. Bottom tier, European. All the UK, anything in English that comes out of the UK, their judicial system is so... Because, I mean, you probably don't need me to tell you this, but an interrogation in the UK is just like, yeah, well, you can just sit there and the lawyer is sitting there 10 times out of 10 and they're able to say no comment. Then you got the American interrogations where we've got the Miranda rights and it's up to you whether you want to stop and get a lawyer or whatever. Where in Canada, it's like a beautiful blend of the two. We're like, take, for instance, Rocky Rambo Waynam Cam. Horrifying axe murderer. He was still, despite his interrogation before that, was allowed to talk to a lawyer, receive legal advice, but that does not stop the interrogation.
Oh, yeah.
So in America, they say, I want a lawyer, it's over. Sorry, not America. U.S. North America. Canada, they go, I want a lawyer. They go, great. Here's a phone and a phone book. Call someone, and once you're done, we're going to grill your ass.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like, being an innocent person not being interrogated, but I would not like as an innocent person getting interrogated. So, whatever. So it's up to you. The UK interrogations, mostly dog shit, like Stephen Buchanan or that couple who killed that 13-year-old Becky or whatever. It's just like, none of them are very good because you can sit there and then go, no comment, no comment, no comment. And it's 7 minutes of very polite people talking about horrifying things and the person obviously involved going, no, fuck that. I don't like the UK legal system.
Yeah.
I don't like any of them really, but the Canadians is the most entertaining. All right, guys, that is all we got. So next week, I don't know what we're doing actually. So look at the channel and vote in the community post because we're either going to do the Philip Markoff interrogation, which is just audio, full disclosure, but worth the price of admission, or we're going to do a big bite out of the middle of the Fidel Lopez interrogation. So vote, because I don't know what to do. I kind of love the Philip Markoff one because of the Boston accent and the fact that, like, the case was so ironclad he hung himself at the end. But I also like the Fidel Lopez case because it's horrifying and the middle is a perfect slice where we can cut off the beginning bullshit and the ending bullshit.
Nice to have you, Craigie Boy Skylines.
Yes.
Before you caught...
Sorry you couldn't get it earlier. But yeah, we're at the very end and that's it. So, like I'm saying, check out the community tab, vote, and then we'll do whichever is which. I don't have a clear favorite, which is why I farmed it out to you guys. So if you want to see Markov first, get that Boston, Lobster, Craigslist for cars or clothes vibe, hit it. Or if you want the, I don't know, man, I didn't do nothing. I put the beer bottle in my fist. I put my arm inside her pussy, he says. So if you want that Latin flair where a dude rips the intestines out of his girlfriend through her vagina and asshole, vote that way. Yeah. Oh, that's not for nothing. That was a detail that slipped past me up until recently. I must have watched that interrogation footage 3 or 4 times and watched other true crime footage channels rather break it down. It wasn't until recently where like it stuck out. The detective is like, so not only did you go in the front hole, but the back hole too, right? And he goes, yeah. What the fuck?
Ugh.
Yeah, that guy, Jill. So if you don't want to see that next, vote. But that's what's on the docket. The Markov or the Lopez. And again, whatever, vote. We'll see you next week on another episode of whatever this is. And it's been fun, so we'll see you.
Bye.
Try to